This is Sports Radio 100.9 The Mitt. WLUN, Pinconning Bay City, Saginaw, Midland. Michigan sports aren't just a game. They're a way of life. And now we've got a show dedicated to die-hard sports fans like you. Hosted by a guy who's borderline obsessed with the wins and losses of all your favorite teams.
He's crazy.
Every weekday morning from 9 to noon, Ben Bosscher brings you the talk that matters. The teams, the stories, and the players you care about most. This is the Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair.
Remember that. Hello, and welcome into the show, everybody. Kyle, what do we always say on Thursdays? It's a new Friday, man.
Is this live?
It is live here on 100.9 The Mitt. Show, as always, is brought to you by Bresky Siding and Building Repair. Oh, the Tigers, they were so close yesterday to getting it within a half game. A half game. If they would have won yesterday, they would have been today away from being in a playoff position. But they ended up losing, so they didn't gain any ground on last night. We did get a little bit of a benches clearing situation, though. Cal Raleigh, you suck. A lot. Look, we're going to talk about some of the Tigers that could be extended by the time the season is done. I've got two candidates for you and a couple other people that should not be extended by any means. That's coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. But we've talked about the Tigers enough to lead off the show over the past week and a half. So here's what we're going to do. Pivot to the Detroit Lions, because Brad Holmes gave an unsettling quote about Jahmyr Gibbs. Here it is on SiriusXM NFL Radio.
Look, obviously, we love Jahmyr. Me and Dan have always been believers in, that 1-2 punch. I just think that's kind of how this league is going now, and we're having dialogue. We'll see where it goes.
It'll get there.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
Oh, okay. I've told everyone that my panic meter has remained a 2. I've not been worried at all about this Jahmyr Gibbs contract situation, but I did say if he hadn't signed by Friday of next week, which is tomorrow, that we might have to reassess. So that quote happens yesterday, plus the combination of tomorrow's that day that we were supposed to reassess. Positive update, though, he is on the field in a jersey today. A lot of the beat reporters have put that out there already. I doubt he's going to go through actual practice, but he is out there for a walkthrough right now, which is a positive sign. But I don't think that trumps what we heard from Brad Holmes yesterday. So let's play a little game. Is this something or is this nothing? This quote from Brad Holmes talking about the Jahmyr Gibbs contract extension. I think it might be something, Kyle. We wouldn't be doing this segment if it wasn't, because that quote he has, that little comment he has about, well, Dan and I have always thought we were aligned on 1-2 punch. That's how we want this thing to run. To me, that says, well, we always believed in not just having a bell cow running back. That's why we had Montgomery, and that's why we brought in Pacheco. And we don't want to run one certain guy into the ground. That was almost like, it wasn't shots at Dan Campbell, but it was like, hey, this is what my philosophy is, and I thought this is what the Lions' philosophy was. And then obviously in the spring, Dan Campbell had the quote about Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the bell cow. Then even a couple weeks back, like last week for training camp, he said, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said the bell cow thing. Said it mostly in a lighthearted way as a joke. Oh, he gave Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit of leverage in this contract situation. Conspiracy Ben coming out. What if it wasn't oh yeah, I gave some leverage to Jahmyr Gibbs? That's not why Dan Campbell said it. He said it because I'm kind of talking to Brad Holmes. We got to start using Jahmyr Gibbs at a bell cow level rather than doing the 1-2 punch thing going on right now. Am I reading too hard into this right now? Because it does feel like this is something more than nothing. And I am starting to wonder, like, wait, is this like a disalignment in terms of the philosophy and how the Lions want to use Jahmyr Gibbs, Brad Holmes in the front office versus what the coaching staff wants to do with Jahmyr Gibbs, who, by all accounts, we think can be the best running back in the NFL this year, but maybe Brad Holmes is working under the umbrella that No, similar to the last 3 years, we're going to keep this guy healthy and upright and not run him into the ground. So I'll ask you, is this nothing or is this something?
This is nothing. That's my answer. This is nothing. I don't think this is any different than any typical running back going through a contract negotiation would be. And certainly I don't think that there is a splitting of brains between Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. And even if there was, like let's say that Brad Holmes has a different idea on how he wants things to go with Dan Campbell. He's not the guy calling the plays. He's not the guy in charge of what Drew Petzing is doing on offense. He's not the guy that is standing on the sideline during the games. Like, Dan Campbell can have Jahmyr Gibbs be the bell cow whether Brad Holmes likes it or not. What's he going to do, fire him? It's not like they're beefing. They might just have a little bit of a disagreement.
My only concern is right now Jahmyr Gibbs isn't really on the field practicing. And I know he suited up today, but what if Gibbs is sitting in these negotiation rooms like, Dan Campbell said he wants to use me as the bell cow. And Brad Holmes is sitting there saying, well, that's not really our plan. Like, we don't want to utilize you in that way. We want to preserve you in the long run. So we're not necessarily going to sign up to give you this $24 million per year deal. Like, we want this to be a little bit lower, knowing that you are going to be able to get paid again later on because you're still going to be healthy and we don't want to injure you by any means. Like, that part of it does concern me. And then that last little, like, I hope it does. What do you mean you hope it does?
That part,
it better get done.
That part I didn't like. It was like the reporter was telling him, like, don't worry, man. Like, this, you got this, man. It'll work out.
And Brad was like,
I mean, it'll
sure
work
hope.
out. You're the reporter.
But notice the difference in tone in what they're saying between Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes. When they've talked about the Jahmyr Gibbs situation. Obviously, this is the first time that Brad Holmes has spoken about it, but Dan Campbell's asked about it almost every day to start up camp at 8 o'clock in the press conference. And it's always, I'm not concerned. This is going to get done. It's only a matter of time. Dismissive. And Brad Holmes, the first time he gets in front of a microphone, he's like, yeah, we'll see. It's like, what? Excuse me?
He's the one actually doing the negotiations.
I know.
Right? And I think that's why it's a little bit different. From the outside looking in, it's easy and not like Dan Campbell is an outsider. Of course he's not. He's the head coach of the team. He's heavily involved in all of this stuff. But in these specific negotiations, yeah, he has no other choice than to be like, yeah, I'm not worried. This is going to get done. Like, they're going to figure it out. I trust Brad Holmes. I trust Gibbs. He has to say that. Whereas Brad Holmes, if he just says, like, oh, yeah, no need to worry about it. It's all good. Like, then Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be like, what do you mean it's all good? It hasn't been all good or else this would be done by now. You know, like, he really can't say all that.
Yeah. Look, I lean more towards something. I just don't really like it feels like there's 3 different chapters to this story now, and almost none of it has to do with Jahmyr Gibbs. It goes all the way back to the first chapter, Dan Campbell calling Jahmyr Gibbs a bell cow in the spring. The second chapter saying, maybe I shouldn't have said that in a joking matter at his press conference last week. Oh, I shouldn't have said he was a bell cow. I gave him a little bit of leverage. Now I'm looking at that. Maybe he wasn't talking to the media as a joke. Maybe he was saying, oh, Brad Holmes has kind of lectured me about how I shouldn't have called him the bell cow because Brad Holmes doesn't want to utilize him as a bell cow. And now Brad Holmes speaking to NFL Sirius XM radio saying, well, we believe in the 1-2 punch. Okay, which is it then? Because you don't get to both can't be true. You can't believe in the 1-2 punch and everything that stands for and also want Jahmyr Gibbs to be a bell cow. You make the point, yeah, Dan Campbell's the head coach, so he gets to ultimately say what happens here. I don't disagree with that, but what philosophy are they actually going with here? Because we have gotten 2 very different, I wouldn't even call them reports, but different ideologies from both the GM and the head coach about how they want to utilize their running backs just over the last couple of months. The few times they've been in front of a microphone the last couple months. That to me is something.
That's fair. And I'm trying to just figure out the angle as far as for contract negotiations. Like, is it smarter for Holmes to say that, to be like, yeah, like we think it's a 1-2 punch. So in the fact that, hey, Gibbs, we're not going to pay you the highest paid running back contract because we still view this as a 1-2 punch. Like, is that just a contract negotiation tactic from Brad Holmes? Obviously, this morning we had yet another running back contract given out. Jonathan Taylor getting $22 million per year over the next 2 seasons. So there's 2 guys now that Jahmyr Gibbs needs to pass as far as being the highest paid running back.
But if that's what they were doing, Kyle, they're like, oh, we believe in the 1-2 punch to lower your price, and then they plan to utilize him as a bell cow. That's messed up, right? Like that's just, you can't do that. You can't screw over your player like that. Tell him we're going to pay you less money because we're not going to give you as many carries, and then just give him as many carries as you possibly can. Like that's how you burn a relationship with a player.
That's fair, and it's something that the Lions haven't done yet, so it's probably, I'm probably reading too far into it from that perspective. But I just wonder, like, because Dan Campbell, look, I don't view, maybe this is just how I view Dan Campbell. I don't think anything he says to the media is tactical. I think he's just raw, and he just says what's on his mind, and he means it, and he's an honest guy, and he's just comfortable with the media, so he's willing to say whatever he wants, right? I don't think him saying the bell cow stuff and then taking it back was any sort of planting of contract negotiation stuff, right? With Brad Holmes, it's different because he's the guy actually doing it. And I still think he kind of fits the same mold as Dan Campbell. Every time Brad Holmes talks to the media, like, he usually is pretty open about everything that's going on.
Yeah, or he'll just, like, decline to answer something, which is totally fair.
It's not like a Trajan Langdon situation where I need to, like, deeply read into every single pause that he takes. Why did he pause and say there? Like, it's not like that with Brad Holmes. But certainly as the GM, it feels more that way than the head coach of Dan Campbell. So if I'm going to read into anyone's comments more than the other, it certainly is Brad Holmes. And so that's why the quote for Gibbs, especially oh yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, that was the most unsettling part, because you're right.
I hope so. You're the guy in charge of it. What are you hoping for?
I agree with you that Brad Holmes is very, he's authentic, just the way that Brad Holmes, or just the way that Dan Campbell is. You know what was the most meaningful part of that entire thing? Where he went, I hope so. It was the sigh. It was like, oh, that was real. That was from the heart. You actually have some worry about this that keeps you up at night, don't you?
And maybe it's just more of a, hey, we kind of, like, maybe the sigh just comes from, not the fact that they think they're going to lose Gibbs or not come to an agreement. It's just, man, we really are going to have to pay him like $24 million a year.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of screwed.
We just kind of
have to do it. It's probably just that, I would hope, because I don't really know what the alternative is.
You said Dan Campbell, there's no, like, tactical plays with him when he's in front of a microphone. He's just there to be, the head coach, and he lets the GMs in the front office take care of the contracts.
Yeah, he just is in charge of moving his microphone over here so no one can really hear what he's talking about.
100% agree with you that he's not doing this tactically. Okay, then why did he walk backwards on the Jahmyr Gibbs bell cow thing, unless he was told that comment actually, like, gave Jahmyr Gibbs some ground to stand on?
Sure.
Maybe he was told by Brad Holmes, like, hey, man, that's not the way we want to do this thing if we want to bring Jahmyr Gibbs back for a regional price. I need you to not do that again. We can't keep calling him the bell cow.
Sure.
Because we don't want to utilize him as the bell cow. Like, that's the most concerning thing to me. I think he'll ultimately get paid. But the fact that Brad Holmes is calling him the bell cow and Dan Campbell's calling him the bell cow, Brad Holmes is saying, no, we believe in the 1-2 punch. Something doesn't add up here, because not both of those things can be true.
Sure, it doesn't change the fact that he said it, though. Like, he can't take it back. He can do the whole, maybe I shouldn't have said that because it gave him leverage. You can do that. It doesn't change the fact that he said it. Like, so
either Brad Holmes is just making stuff up to have it as leverage play, or there's actually we want to use him this way as a front office, and we want to use him a different way as a coaching staff. So my question
none of the above, right?
Well, give me an alternative.
I think an alternative here is Jahmyr Gibbs and his camp are like, hey, man, we kind of just want every other running back to get paid so we can be the highest paid running back. Now that Jonathan Taylor's got his deal, now that Bijan Robinson has got his deal, is it any coincidence that Jahmyr Gibbs suits up for practice this morning after Taylor's gotten paid? If I'm Gibbs and his camp, I'm like, hey, the second that Bijan got paid, all right, I'm waiting till all these guys get paid, because I want to be the highest one. And you know how I secure that I'm the highest paid one? Is if I'm the last one.
That doesn't explain the bell cow versus 1-2 punch thing.
But that's what I'm saying. I think maybe it's nothing. Maybe you're reading too far into that, and it just is a nothing, and Gibbs is just kind of waiting this thing out until he finally is the last guy to get paid.
So here's our question for the audience. Is this something or nothing? This is the Brad Holmes SiriusXM NFL radio clip from yesterday. We're going to play it one more time, then we're going to send it to break. Here it is.
Look, obviously, we love Jahmyr. Me and Dan have always been believers in, that 1-2 punch. I just think that that's kind of how this league is going now, and we're having dialogue. We'll see where it goes.
It'll get there.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
The reporter sounds like his
so
grandpa.
Sad.
Don't worry, pal. It'll figure itself out.
In my head, he puts his
Why
arm
is he
around
giving
his
him
shoulder.
advice? Yeah, you got this, man.
I'm proud of you, no matter what. Is
You can
this,
do it.
quote, something or is it nothing? This is the Ben Bosscher Show live here on 100.9 The Mid. 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Iron Stack Technology. They help businesses solve real tech problems securely, efficiently, and without the headache. When your IT is working the way it should, everything else gets easier. Iron Stack Technology, solution-driven, mission-focused. Check them out online at ironstacktechnology.com. The show, as always, is brought to you by Bresky Siding and Building Repair. The experts who do the job right the first time, whether you have a leaky roof, storm damage, siding looking tired, Bresky has you covered. Locally owned, trusted, and dedicated to keeping Midland area homes safe and looking sharp. Quality materials, skilled craftsmanship, and service that puts your family first. Don't wait for the next storm. Call Bresky Siding and Building Repair today and keep your home strong for years to come.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid. By Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid.
All right, so with all of that information that we have now, the fact that Brad Holmes didn't seem all that, certainly not as confident as Dan Campbell to be able to get that deal done, plus the fact that he called it, we want the 1-2 punch to continue to exist, plus the positive update that he was on the field in a practice uniform today. I doubt he goes through like full 7-on-7, 11-on-11, but he's going through walkthroughs. Considering all that, Where's the panic meter now at with Jahmyr Gibbs? 10 being oh my God, they're going to have to trade him or he's going to sit out. 1 being this guy's going to play week 1. Why would we have any concerns about it? I told you I've just steadily been a 2 since the very beginning with this, when we found out that he wasn't going to be suiting up at practice the first day of training camp. After yesterday, I'm like a 4.5 or 5 now.
Really? Man, that seems crazy.
It's still relatively low. It's not like I think anything.
It's halfway up the meter, man.
Yeah, it's bad. You got a tank full of half tank full of gas left. It's not like you're got to hit the gas station at any point. I still think he's going to play and get paid for the Lions, but I don't know how I can take everything that Brad Holmes said and feel better about it.
My continuation of reasoning why I'm not worried about this is, what's the alternative? What else are they gonna do? Are they just not gonna pay him? Like Luke in our YouTube chat asking, what if he just doesn't sign with the Lions?
Well, he can't just sign with anybody else.
Right, and obviously it's like he's a free agent. He's just up for an extension. I just don't see a world where they don't pay him. I would be absolutely shocked, especially the way they've talked about it. It's not like they have completely avoided contract talks and been like, oh yeah, well, whatever. They're talking about how there's an ongoing agreement trying to be made, with his contract extension. So they're going through these deals. I would be shocked if at some point they were just like, you know what, we're not going to do this.
I would be too. That's why I'm not at a 9 or a 10.
But that's why I'm at still a 2. I went from a 1 to a 2 maybe.
What would it take for you to be a 5?
For Jahmyr Gibbs to come out and make a statement. I will not be playing for the Lions this season until I get my extension.
Isn't that when it jumps to an 8 or 9? Not a 5?
No, because we see that we saw that from Jonathan Taylor a couple years ago, and he's gotten paid twice since then.
That would make me feel terrible if Jahmyr Gibbs was
that would make me feel,
you know what,
right.
I'm not playing for the Lions. That feels worse than a 5.
True. Well, okay, I thought you were saying what would it take for it to get jumped up all the way. Then, I don't know if this lasted another week from now, if this lasted 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, because we set the line for this Friday last week.
And I think
tomorrow.
now is that, now that Taylor has been paid, this is the start of, okay, if he doesn't get paid from this point on going forward, maybe each day that goes by, a 0.5 is added to the worry scale.
So you're a 2 right now, a 2.5
2.5 tomorrow, and then by Monday it'll be a 4. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, that's, a couple extra days. With
yours is going to climb pretty fast then. I'm mostly going update by update rather than day by day. If we get to week training camp or preseason game week 1 and he still hasn't been paid though, that's probably the next benchmark. Not that I even expect him to play in preseason, but if we get to a preseason game and Isaiah Pacheco and Sione Vaki and Jacob Sailors have all taken infinitely more reps than Jahmyr Gibbs at running back, I won't feel great about that. And I'd like him to at least have some reps with him, the offensive line.
Yeah.
A brand new offensive line. I'd like for him to at least have some reps with them. We know he's talented, but it still requires some practice and repetition. Leading up to the first game. It's not like you can just walk on the field and be fantastic. I mean, there are the 1%ers who can do that. And maybe Jahmyr Gibbs is one of them. I just feel for a running back, you really need the repetition with your offensive line, especially when there's new guys coming and there's such a change of speed between you and the other running backs that are in your backfield. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sitting at a 5, a 4.5. I'll call it a 4.5.
Where are you at though with the bell cow part of it? Because I guess we haven't really gotten. We're seeing how does Dan Campbell want him to be a bell cow? Does Brad Holmes want him to be or not? Where do you sit with this? Because Clown in our YouTube chat says I have PTSD from Billy Sims. I'm not sure if I want Gibbs used as a bell cow for sure or not. To be honest.
It was Barry Sanders was a bell cow. It's not like we have bad memories from him.
Sure, but there's been a clear tactic throughout the first so many years of Jahmyr Gibbs' career to not overutilize him, to get him to this point where he can get another contract. And it doesn't seem crazy to pay him because now we are going to take that extra leap. Where are you at with all of that? Do you think Pacheco really is going to be heavily involved in this offense?
I don't think he should be. He's had 3 total touchdowns the last 2 years. I am very much on board now to make him the bell cow because of how much you preserved him for the first 3 years of his career. I mean, that rookie season, first half of the year, he was barely getting the ball because we had David Montgomery, and they didn't have any problems just giving him not as many carries as possible, but remember the game against Green Bay where David Montgomery had like 30 carries? Like those games still exist. Yeah. And I think the part of the reason that they did that because they were smart and they wanted to preserve Jahmyr Gibbs in the long run. I think now you're at the time where it's time to unleash the beast. You got to unleash the beast. And maybe it's not a forever thing. It probably shouldn't be. He is I don't want to call him a smaller guy because it's not like he's small for normal people standards, but a smaller NFL player. So you can't just like continuously take the hit over and over again. But I think this is kind of the year to unleash him. He's in the peak of his prime physically, or at least he should be. He's got the experience under his belt. The Lions need to go contend to win a Super Bowl in order to get them over the top and make them one of the most special offenses in the NFL. I do think it's time to kind of let go of Sonic and let him run all over the place like he's supposed to do. There's no need to hide him behind anybody anymore. I'm very much on board to make him the bell cow this year, and then we can reassess what it looks like next year. But if he's going to get paid big-time money, you should use him in big-time player and big-time money ways, and that part of that is getting 20 carries a game. Maybe not every game, but a lot of games. 20 touches a game at least, right? Where are you on it?
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I think they made that obvious with moving off of Montgomery this season. I just wonder how it plays into the contract. Like, was it tactical that they didn't use him as a full bell cow until he was eligible for this deal? So they try to get him down on a better price before he does take the ropes as the best running back in football. Well, I think it's a little bit too late for that.
Yeah, I think the eye test and all the film junkies and all the advanced stats kind of took that away from, like, it was a good plan.
Yeah, he was just too good.
He was too good, yeah. He was exactly what you wanted him to become. Remember the first day they drafted him, and he's like, we don't view him as a running back. We view him as a weapon. And we were like, he's going to catch 100 passes a year.
They're going to line him up in the slot all the time.
Yeah, we were kind of wrong about that, but at the same time, he is becoming more of a weapon than just a running back. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of, last year, especially early in the season, those 8 to 12 catch games for Gibbs, like, kind of got sick of it, honestly.
This is the only way they could get him the ball.
Yeah.
989-837-6125. When the seasons change, Maple Hill Nursery is hard at work for you. They offer mowing services in the summer, in the winter. I don't even want to think about that right now, but they do offer professional snow plowing, keep your driveway clear, spring and fall cleanup to get your yard looking its best year-round. That is Maple Hill Nursery. From winter to spring, fall, and summer, every season of the year, they are your lawn and landscape partner right here in Midland.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid. by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Myth.
All right, welcome back into the show, everybody. This is the Ben Bosscher Show. We're live here on 100.9 The Myth. Kyle Sandel, it's your time to shine. Take it away with the news.
The Mitts Morning Catch.
Okay, time for the news. We got a couple of injury updates this morning with the Detroit Lions. So let's take a look at the Covenant Healthcare Orthopedics and Sports Medicine injury report. First off, Lions tight end Tyler Conklin has passed his physical per the transaction list, and seems like he's going to be back participating with the Lions, which is good because they have a good amount of tight end. I mean, we didn't know what Sam Laporta's injury status was going to be coming into the year. He seems to be fine. Brock Wright, of course, is good, and Tyler Conklin now is good as well. So will the Lions incorporate more 3 tight end looks like a lot of these other teams have? We're going to find out this year with Drew Petzing, but it's good to see that Tyler Conklin, of course, CMU Chippewa alum, is back.
You know, former Chippewa, Michigan native. This was, I mean, it wasn't a splash signing by any means, but they've kind of had that 3-man weave of tight ends for a while between Laporta, Brock Wright, and who was their last guy?
Like Shane Zylstra?
Yeah, Zylstra.
I mean, there was a mix of a bunch of guys. Yeah, I don't really think they had a 3 tight end weave ever.
And now it does seem like they do, because these are 3 notable tight ends that have a pretty good reputation in this league for being either maulers on the run game or pass catchers. Brock Wright a little bit of both, Tyler Conklin a little bit of both, Laporta a little bit of both, honestly. So versatile tight ends group.
Yeah. And we also find out Jeremy Reisman tweeting this morning that Brian Branch is doing more work with a trainer today. We don't know the exact timeline on what Brian Branch's outlook is going to look like this season, whether it's going to take, closer to Thanksgiving, whether it will just be a shorter stint. We'll see. Good to see Branch doing some work to get back as well.
There was some early reports from camp that Brian Branch was going to be able to start practicing by the end of camp. Now, that doesn't mean he's just ready for week 1. But I think whether or not he is on the PUP list to start week 1 is pretty up in the air right now, because if he's on it, he's going to miss 4 weeks. Who knows if he'd be ready by week 5 or week 8. But if they don't leave him on that, maybe he could come back by week 3. I don't know. I'm getting way ahead of myself, but It does feel like this is trending in the right direction.
Well, the big news is, Ben, you know what's going on tonight. Football is back tonight. The Hall of Fame game. Cardinals versus Panthers. The quarterback battle we've been waiting for centuries. Carson Beck versus Kenny Pickett.
Is that right? That's who it is?
That's who it is.
That actually might be worth tuning into for a little bit.
Wow, I can't believe football's here. I've never really understood. I mean, I get why the Hall of Fame game is played. It's just so early, and there's a whole nother week off before preseason really gets going. I don't know. I just always think it starts a little too early because training camp just got going.
I just don't understand how any of these teams have enough practices under their belts to actually go run and
they don't
a team go play a game.
Yeah. I'm going to do the classic, every year Hall of Fame game. Oh, I'm going to watch that. Football's back. And then I'm just not going to. I might
It is two notable
have it on.
quarterbacks, though.
Yeah, but they're probably going to each play a 2 drives. I guess I don't really know who else.
I mean, they're both backups. What?
Yeah.
I would just be letting Carson Beck play. The rookie.
True, maybe he gets the whole half. I mean, none of these guys ever play the full game, but we'll see. Hall of Fame game tonight, Cardinals, Panthers. Check it out if you're a football fiend like us.
Have you seen the trend of people sneaking into NFL training camps and getting reps in?
No.
I've seen 2 different people. I forget the actual camps, and I guess I won't throw the teams under the bus for allowing that to happen.
Do it. If you're seeing it online, who cares?
I truly don't remember who the teams were. I saw some guy taking defensive line drills, trying to do the thing, you run around the hula hoop and then you make a tackle. Basically working on your bend. I saw someone doing that, and then I saw someone who legitimately took a rep at quarterback. And
how does that even happen?
Pass. I have no idea.
I could see it maybe at a college training camp, just because there's so many dudes on their team. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Let's do one more football thing before we talk about the weirdness that happened in the Tigers game last night. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show, but the full details. Jonathan Taylor and the Colts have agreed to terms on a 2-year, $44 million extension with $39 million guaranteed. up to $47 million. Nonetheless, though, this makes Taylor the second highest paid annually running back at $22 million a year, just $250,000 lower than Bijan Robinson, who got paid earlier this week. So, we had Bijan on Monday, Zay Flowers yesterday, Jonathan Taylor today, Jahmyr Gibbs tomorrow?
Hopefully.
Hey, I hope so. We'll see. Okay, Gleyber Torres yesterday was hit by 2 pitches after Cal Raleigh was hit by the Tigers, and it's caused a weird benches clearing situation. Gleyber was asked about it after the game, and he said, I told Cal Raleigh I don't really believe we hit him on purpose. I tried to tell him, De Jesus hit you with 2 strikes. It wasn't on purpose. I don't try to fight with anybody. I'm not that type of guy, he says. Of course, Josh Naylor had to get involved on this scuffle because why wouldn't he? Kind of funny that this happens the day that Dylan Brooks gets paid by the Suns because those guys are just the same guy. But, yeah, a weird benches clearing, not even a scuffle because nothing happened after it except for Gabe Speier gets ejected from the game for the Mariners.
Cal Raleigh is taking his aggression out on the Tigers for having a god-awful season. Benetti and them are trying to it's not all because of Cal Raleigh's struggles. Cal Raleigh sucks this year, guys. He has been, after finishing second in MVP, he's not even the best catcher in the league anymore. That is Dylan Dingler, without a doubt. Raleigh's been such a huge disappointment, and I think he's salty, and he's hurt. It's open wounds for him. So when he gets hit by a pitch in which the count was 0-2 at the time, correct?
Yeah.
Why would you get hit on? Why would anyone try to hit you with a pitch on purpose in that situation? 0-2, you're losing in the game. No one's going to throw an intentional pitch at you. So then when Gleyber comes up, inside, Glaber's got to duck out of the way. Not duck, but scooch out of the way. Very next pitch. Yeah, then he ends up getting hit in the leg.
First at bat of the next inning.
It's dude, what are we doing? It's clearly not a coincidence. I don't think the pitcher should have been thrown out of the game. Get Cal Raleigh out of the game because he clearly was the one that instigated that. Gleyber has some words for him. AJ Hinch, that's the fastest I've ever seen him move. He gets out there, gets in between Raleigh and the umpire and Gleyber. One of the more useless benches clearing situations I think I've ever seen because everyone just ran out to home plate and no one even really needed to be separated at all. It's the most stereotypical benches clear in baseball moment ever.
I don't get why Cal Raleigh's mad. I mean, he has an on-base percentage this year of .266. Hey, you got on base via hit by pitch, man.
Yeah, that's
Congrats.
why he's mad.
You would have
He's a
struck
loser.
out. You and your league-leading K rate would have happily taken a walk to first there. So
He leads the American League in K rate.
it's got to be up there. He's got 114 Ks in 82 games played this year. It's unbelievable.
I just he's on the list now. Seattle is just increasingly becoming on the list of these guys suck. These guys are annoying to play, and I like Julio, but Naylor, of course, is unsufferable. Cal Raleigh's becoming problematic because he stinks. I'm curious to see what happens tonight with Framber Valdez, of all people, on the mound.
That's what I was going to say. That's the sketchy part about today. And it feels like these two teams, based off of the playoff series last year, there for sure is a rivalry here between these squads now. And maybe it's just because of Naylor, being he already was kind of a rival of the Tigers before showing up to Seattle.
Does that just mean anyone who plays runs into Josh Naylor twice or 3 times a year is just rivals with that team?
Could be, but I don't know. I mean, it just feels like there's been some stuff between these squads now when they've matched up. And so game 3 today at 4:10, Framber Valdez on the mound. I would put it at least a 50-50 chance that either Cal Raleigh or Josh Naylor gets pelted in their first at-bat. That I would put it at about a 50% chance.
The Tigers cannot afford to have Framber Valdez thrown out of this game at any point. They had a bullpen day yesterday, and we're now at the point of the season where they desperately need wins.
Yeah, this is like a huge series because Seattle retook their spot in the wild card yesterday as far as they jumped back over the Tigers. So taking this series is huge just for the wild card standings.
We're officially at that point in the year where you have to win all of these series. So Framber, someone needs to do a meditating class with Framber
I just don't know if it matters, man. We want to talk about loose cannons. I mean, there's not many more of those guys on the mound than Framber Valdez.
I'm all down for a loose cannon in the pitching staff, but we're at the point of the year where you can't have the outbursts. You just can't.
we'll do one more thing here in the news because worth talking about. Yesterday, Casey Mize in his debut for the San Diego Padres. This one I feel a little bit bad about. If this would have happened to Skubal, I think I would have laughed. Casey Mize, though, gives up 8 earned runs, doesn't even get through 4 innings, 9 hits in his debut with the Padres, and the Padres fans are just furious. I saw them all on Twitter. I was like in a Padres just chain on Twitter this morning. They're pretty mad about Casey Mize. Yeah. Tough debut for Mize, that's for sure. 'Cause he hasn't had to start that bad all year for the Tigers. I feel a little bad for him. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not rooting against Casey Mize.
Yeah, I'm not either. Even though he did kind of he was a little bit salty on his way out.
A little bit. Not too bad. Nothing I was mad about. Hey, this is the Ben Bosscher Show live here on the Mitt. If you're looking to move, meet Matt Smith, Modern Realty. Redefining real estate with a fresh and modern approach, whether you're buying, selling, or investing. Matt Smith delivers personalized service tailored to you. Cutting-edge marketing, local expertise, and commitment to making your real estate experience as smooth and successful as possible. From cozy starter homes to luxury properties, they know how to find you the perfect fit. Trust a team that combines innovation with the real-world know-how. That's Matt Smith, Modern Realty.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Myth. Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid.
Did you see the coaches poll came out? 2026 preseason college football coaches poll has the Buckeyes in first, 38 first place votes, Oregon in second with 6 first place votes, Georgia third, Texas fourth, Notre Dame fifth. Going to scroll all the way down to 16 to find Michigan. But here's the part about the Michigan Wolverines this year. They rank 16th. Kyle, in their season, they play Ohio State, obviously, number 2. They play Oregon, Ohio State, number 1. They play Oregon, number 2. They play Indiana, number 6. And they play Oklahoma, who comes in at number 9. So right off the rip, this is just the coaches poll, not the AP poll. Both are semi-meaningless, but just to kind of get a big picture, like where do teams stack up amongst each other? What do we think going into the year? Which we're leaning more and more towards means absolutely, which means absolutely nothing. Heading
What
into,
just happened?
I slammed my hand against the chair next to me. That kind of hurt.
All right.
I feel like we're in an era now where the preseason poll matters as little as it ever has in terms of what we think versus what actually happens, i.e. Clemson last season. But to play three different top 10 teams, Michigan's got a tall task as much as we think the expectations should be higher for this Wolverine squad.
They have a tall task, but what are we? We're not expecting them to like beat all of these teams. Like we've talked about this. It feels like a win if they're able to just beat one of these teams, right?
Well, here's the catch too. They also play Penn State, who's 17. I feel like you should probably want to win two
Penn
of them.
State at 17. Penn State's at home, by the way. Michigan should win that game. They just should. Because here's the thing about last year's Michigan team. Like, they had to find...
If we're going to write in the Penn State game as a win, though, I'm writing in the Georgia game or the Oregon game as a loss. You're not going out west to Oregon and winning. They're 0-2 on the road in West Coast games since
against
all those
a
teams have
fake
joined
Oregon
the Big
team,
Ten.
A team that just doesn't win big games.
They're going to be at home.
We're writing that in as a loss.
I think so. If we think Oregon's going to be as good as, Oregon's the top 5 team coming into the season. That's a tough place to go win in the regular season. It'd be one thing if Oregon was coming to Michigan, but they're not. Michigan hasn't won on the road out west yet.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be a tough game, but writing that in as a loss just feels kind of tough for me, just based off of Oregon's history, since joining the Big Ten. But anyways, I just think when you look at last year's Michigan team, they had a good season. They had an overall fine season, but all of their losses came against the good teams. They didn't win a single game against a team that was like, oh, this team is pretty good. This would be a big win.
Yeah, even USC you lost to.
Yeah, did not have a single one of those wins. And so when you look at the Michigan team this year, I don't think that when I say, oh, they have expectation to be like a playoff team, it's not even they need to win all of those games. I think if you win one of versus Oklahoma, at Oregon, and at Ohio State, I guess let's not even count the Oklahoma game because it's a non-conference game. Let's just go with the 3 Big Ten games, right? You win one of the versus Indiana, at Oregon, at Ohio State. You win one of the 3 of those, I think they can be taken pretty seriously and be in consideration for a playoff spot. If you win 2 of the 4 of those 3 plus the Oklahoma game, you go 2-2 in those games, go 10-2, they're a playoff team. Right?
Hold on, you threw a lot at me there. We're already in playoff talks. Well, if this happens and this happens. Wait, so, okay, there's 5 big games, I think, for Michigan this year.
I'm not counting the Penn State game. Like, I just don't get why that's being thrown in here.
Why? I guess why would it not?
Because Penn State is not one of those high-class teams. There are 3 teams in the Big Ten this year that are the big dogs. Why are we considering Penn State one of those teams?
Because I don't think it's a push. I don't think it's a team that you can just write in as a win, though. Like, if you lose to it, it hurts your season. I mean, if you lose to anybody, it hurts your season.
Yeah,
but it's like a more realistic, like, hey, if Michigan wants to go prove that they can.
Here. I'm looking at
okay, then who are the big dogs?
I'm looking at the 3 teams that made the playoff last year. Penn State, like,
so
Michigan should win that
Oklahoma's not
game.
a big dog either?
I'm talking about the Big Ten games. It's like you just don't listen to what I have to tell you.
Okay, but if they won the Big Ten games and then lost to Oklahoma, like if they won one of the Big Ten games, lost to Oklahoma, like I don't know if they're making the playoffs.
That's what I said.
You're saying if they went 10-2 this year?
Yes,
Or
I'm
9-3?
saying the 3 Big Ten games, including the Oklahoma game, if they go 2-2 in those games, they're a playoff team.
Correct, unless they lose to Penn State.
Unless they lose to anybody, Ben. Like,
Yes,
what are we doing here? What is this exercise? I don't understand.
I just don't understand why we're like walking all over Penn State like they're a doormat team in the Big Ten. They're
I'm
a top
just talking
25
about
team
the
coming
teams
into the
that
league.
made the playoff last year. Like, that's what I'm trying to state here. The 4 teams that are on Michigan's schedule that were in the college football playoff, was Penn State one of them?
No.
That's all I was trying to say. And yet Penn State just has to be included here for some reason. I never brought them up once.
I know it. I keep bringing them up because I
Why?
think it's a
They
team
didn't
that
make
has
the
to matter.
playoff.
Because I think it's a team that has to matter on their schedule.
All
It's not
of the
like you can
teams
just
matter.
think of 4 teams and then the rest of the
Versus
schedule is
UCLA,
cupcakes.
that's wedged between Oregon and Ohio State. That's going to be a big game. Like, they're all going to be big games. I'm talking about the huge matchups on their schedule. Penn State is not one of them.
Sure, you're right that Penn State's the 5th one, but I think if we're talking about there's 5 big games. I think there's 5 big games on the schedule this year, not just 4. Sure, 4 teams made the playoffs last year. The odds of all 4 of those teams being playoff teams this year, I think, are
I'll
unlikely.
tell you this. If they lose to Penn State, they're just not making the playoff at all because they're certainly not beating Oregon or Ohio State or Oklahoma or Indiana. So that's why I'm not including Penn State in this.
That I agree with you with.
Whereas they can lose to those other teams and still have a great shot at getting in because those are the real threats.
Oklahoma-Michigan is one of the 3 games in all of college football this year where the Big Ten and SEC play each other. They all happen week 2. I wish this was a little bit more common across college football.
Like there's a bunch of other big matchups that week.
Yeah, I wish the conferences weren't like too afraid to play each other where it's like, yeah,
is
we're
Texas,
not making
Ohio
deals.
State week 2 this year? Or is that week 1 again?
Do they play again?
Pretty sure they do, right? Oh yeah, it's week 2, yeah.
Yeah, there's only 3 games, and I forget what the third one is. There's another week 2 matchup. I just wish teams had a little bit more hair on their chest and were willing to schedule the big games against the other conference. But it feels like both teams don't want to let their conference down, or both conferences don't want to like look bad on the national spotlight. So it ends up being a weird situation where nobody schedules big time games. It's tough. 989-837-6125. This is the Ben Bosscher Show live here on 100.9 The Mitt. The show, as always, is brought to you by Bresky Siding and Building Repair. And guess what? We're talking about what the Tigers should be doing the rest of the season, not just from a win-loss standpoint, but what is Scott Harris's next big move? What is it supposed to be? I'll tell you guys when we come back. This is Ben Bosscher, Kyle Sandel here live on 100.9 The Mitt. Follow us on socials, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We're all there, and we will be right back. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mitt.
This is Sports Radio 100.9 The Mitt. WLUN, Pinconning Bay City, Saginaw, Midland.
(989) 837-6125. Welcome back in. Look, here's the deal. Scott Harris traded away Tarek Skubal. We applauded him for that. I think it was ultimately a good thing that he decided to do that. Now, what else does Scott Harris have to do to get in our good graces? Because right now I think the Tigers are in a pretty good position, not just like where they find themselves in the standings, but I mean, I've made this point plenty of times. I like where the Tigers look, their future outlook right now, between Dingler and Green, and then the youngest guys in Clark and McGonigal. And then you look at the pitching staff, and it's Melton, and it's Jackson Jobe, who's coming back on Saturday. Woo! Montero gets to be in that conversation as well. Like, I really like the future outlook for the Detroit Tigers. But what is it that Scott Harris now has to do to really become, oh, wait, maybe this guy actually does know what he's doing? Because I think he proved a lot of people wrong here at the deadline. And I'm not going to, like, sit here and apologize to him, because I think, you know, the last two deadlines were so disastrously bad that it's not like that's just made up for with one good deadline. But I do think it was a good deadline, and that should be acknowledged. And the fact that Max Clark is playing as well as he has, and McGonigal's playing as well as he has, those are both credits to Scott Harris in a lot of different ways. So what else does he have to get in Tigers fans' good graces? I think he has to give Clark and Green a contract extension here by the end of the season. You look at all these teams getting contracts done with their young players over, like, guys who have barely played at all. And Kevin McGonigal fits into that description, right? Whether it's Kevin McGonigal, whether it's Connor Griffin, who played 5 games, McGonigal was 18, Cole Emerson for Seattle, who's been starting the last 2 games. He got paid in the preseason before ever playing a game for $95 million. I think a Max Clark extension, you know, it's weird because you look at everybody else, and McGonigal probably is getting paid above market value. Connor Griffin got a 9-year, $140 million deal, and Kevin McGonigal got an 8-year, $150 million deal. So one less year and $10 more million. Maybe above market value for like the top prospect, which might throw a wrench into how much we think Max Clark is actually worth. Because even though McGonigal is obviously the best of Connor Griffin, Colt Emerson, and these other guys that got paid, the fact that they paid him so much probably means you're going to have to pay Max Clark a little bit more than you might be comfortable with, because if it was only Griffin and Emerson that got paid, you'd probably be getting away with Max Clark making somewhere like $115 million. Now it probably looks like $125 million on some sort of 8-year deal, but I would be looking to extend him. I'd be looking to extend Riley Green. I think he'd become like a top 10-ish paid outfielder in all of baseball. So we can argue about what those numbers potentially look like. But between Kenley Jansen, Tarek Skubal, Gleyber Torres, and Jack Flaherty, they're freeing up $83 million this upcoming offseason. $83 million off the books between those 4 players. I don't think they really have any reason to not extend their current guys, especially considering I don't think you're going to be able to use that $83 million to go sign free agents this offseason, because I don't even know if free agency is going to happen, because I don't know if there's a season that's going to happen. So you may as well lock up the guys that are not under long-term contracts right now. I'd give Riley Green and Max Clark a contract extension before the season ends if it's possible. I would not give one to Dingler or Jobe or Melton, not for any personal reasons, but Dingler's got like 4 more years of team control left, and he's 27. No need to.
Yeah, and
zero need to pay him.
There's zero need for Dingler to sign one either. Like, it makes no sense for either party.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They're riding that thing out. With Melton and Jobe, I'm just always going to be hesitant to pay pitchers that early, especially ones who haven't had Tommy John. It's just risky business to get involved with those pitchers.
A lot of pitchers don't really get paid. Like, they don't really get the extensions until they hit the open market.
And I'm fine with that. It's just always uncomfortable when you give a pitcher that much money and then they break their elbow. Burst into a million pieces. So I think it's really just Clark and Green as guys I'd mostly want extended by the end of this season.
Yeah, first off, when you were talking about the guys that have gotten the extensions, didn't it feel like Kevin McGonigal played like 2 games before he got extended?
Yeah, 18.
When I saw that 18 number, I was like, that can't be right. And it just is. But it's like, that just feels weird to me. It felt like they paid him in the first week of the season. And all those other guys as well. Like, it made sense for all the teams to sign them. I just wonder if with Clark, this is a weird time because there's a reason why all of those extensions come at the beginning of the season. Even a guy like Connor Griffin was paid immediately after getting the call up to the bigs, and he didn't spend the first month with the Pirates. Like, you don't typically see those type of extensions happen in August. Happen at this point in the year where it's like, maybe we just wait till the offseason, or maybe it just doesn't happen at all. So I think that it would make sense for both Clark and the Tigers to get it done because, hey, we really do feel like McGonigal-Clark is the fun duo going forward. And whether or not he's paid or not doesn't change that. Like, he's going to be part of the fun duo going forward. The number is interesting because coming up, it was always McGonigal and Clark. They split and parted ways once McGonigal skipped the level entirely at the AAA spot. Max Clark stays there for a while. And McGonigal's obviously clearly passed Clark as a prospect, as a player, as the future face of the franchise, all of that stuff. Is it disrespectful to Max Clark if the number's not similar?
How could it not be?
I could tell you how it's not. McGonigal's about to win Rookie of the Year.
How much? I'm not saying it has to be the full 150, but how much does it have to be? It's got to be relatively close, right? It's not like you're going to lowball him for $50 million less.
Right, and then it might just cause issues in general. Does Clark come with a little extra pay price because of who he is?
I think it's more so because of the money that you gave McGonigal, and maybe there's just no amount of money that could convince Tigers fans that it's an overpay, but it does feel like a little bit more than market value based on some of these other rookie extensions.
Yeah, but I'm cool with it, though, right? I mean, it's McGonigal. Like, the guy...
I'm cool with it, too, until you got to pay Max Clark. Then it's all of a sudden, okay, Max Clark is going to be a little bit more expensive because of that deal.
Do we care about how much money everybody's making in a world where there's still likely not a salary cap?
I don't know.
In a world where there's a floor rather than a cap, which is the most likely scenario,
then it probably doesn't matter.
It doesn't, it honestly is a good thing because you have to pay guys. So you might as well pay the guys that you care about rather than paying the Alex Cobbs of the world.
Like, if they sign him for 8 years, $125 million compared to McGonigal's 8-year, $150 million, I feel like I would think that's pretty fair.
Yeah.
I have no idea if Max Clark's like, no, that's not fair, though. I want to be a little bit closer to my guy, Kevin. $25 million is not just nothing.
Yeah,
it's not something to scoff at.
I agree. And that's what makes this part interesting. Like, if McGonigal was never paid yet and they were like, we're going to pay Clark first, I don't think this would be an issue. I think that those two being tied together, same draft class, Clark drafted higher. Clark has made more money in his career up until McGonigal got paid. The signing bonus was bigger. He has the huge following on social media. Like, it'd be a little weird if his contract was way lower, but it should be. Because McGonigal's obviously the better player. And even if Clark, the rest of this season, shines, it's not going to outshine what McGonigal has done this year.
And then it gets into a weird thing because it's like, oh, if Clark really is just awesome for 2 months, he's going to be like, well, I just want as much as Kevin. And he probably has every reason to think that if he's just fantastic for that long, or at least thinking, I'll just wait this thing out.
Right.
Or he just wants his money now, which I think is what most players want.
Yeah.
It's just you want a respectable offer that you feel like, are they going to have to pay Clark $140 million? And if that's the case, is he worth that? I mean, it wouldn't make him a top 10 outfielder by any means.
No.
But it would make him just as much as Connor Griffin.
I think it's worth it in
locking your guys down.
It's hard with the impending doom of the offseason, of December 1st rolling around. And there is not a new collective bargaining agreement, which there won't be. So that's the part that makes this difficult. In the world where there is a floor implemented, a salary floor, let's forget all of the other things that the Players Association and the MLB are fighting about, and let's just talk about the cap and the floor. If there's no cap and there is a floor, which feels like the outcome that might happen, I think this makes a ton of sense for both parties to get this locked up now. If you're going to have to spend money, which the Tigers would have no risk of not hitting that floor, of course. But like you said, I mean, how much money are they clearing up next year? $70 million?
83.
It's a lot of money that they're clearing up. So in a world where they have to pay dudes, let's pay the dudes that matter. Let's have Max Clark, instead of doing the arbitration and making, less than $1 million for a few years of his career, let's just get him paid now so that we can be paying the guys that make sense to pay. So we don't have to give out 1-year contracts to guys that we don't feel are going to be big-time contributors to the team.
And also, you don't have to break your bank when it is time to actually pay them. You get them on a pretty team-friendly deal right now for another 8 seasons. Like, you win the second half of the contract if you pay him right now.
Yeah, I mean, he would still, he's still going to hit the open market at a time where he's in his prime. No, just like he would if you didn't pay him.
Correct. And that's good for Max Clark, and I think it's good for the Tigers in that, yeah, but until then, we've got 2 guys, 2 studs, Max Clark and McGonigal, on pretty awesome team-friendly deals in the grand scheme of things, because they're not, highest-paid players at their position, which allows us some pretty good flexibility to just kind of go spend money elsewhere.
I do have a thought on Riley Green, but first, interesting YouTube chat from EBG. He says, is it really obvious that Kevin is better than Max? Max has only played for a week, and he's looked incredible so far. I can see him getting the same deal as Kevin.
I would agree with him that I don't know if it's
obvious,
super obvious yet.
Sure.
And he probably center. No, I mean, he's looked great in center field. He attacks the strike zone in the exact same way. I think Kevin McGonigal will just be a better hitter, but the defensive stuff, the 5-tool ability that Max Clark brings to the table, he brings value in a lot of other different ways versus Kevin.
Yeah.
They are similar hitters, though.
McGonigal is just a better hitter, no doubt, but that's always been the case for them as prospects, even when Clark was a higher rated prospect.
That's the thing. You might have, I don't want to call it a screw up because it's not a screw up to pay your own guys, but in paying Clark, or in paying McGonigal, you might have just added a 25% tax to what Max Clark should be paid.
But does that bother you, I guess?
No, as long as the Tigers are willing to pay it.
They paid Colt Keith, and that guy doesn't play every day. You know?
Correct.
At the end of the day, that's going to be the one that is a mess up.
Yeah, it's very intriguing because if the Tigers were to just pay him there's a very good world where the Tigers, of all these guys that just got extensions, the 2 biggest ones are the Detroit Tigers guys and Clark and McGonigal, and they just kind of set the market for everybody else. And they have 2 of the higher paid players, which if they're worth it, then they're worth it. But it's a little scary to think, the Tigers kind of overpaid both of their guys compared to what everybody else is getting.
I don't think you could overpay McGonigal at this point of his career. I just don't think you can.
989-837-6125. Now it just comes down to, do you think Riley Green should be paid? We'll tackle that one when we come back. It's the Ben Bosscher Show live here on 100.9 The Mitt. 10 o'clock hour is brought to you by Aaron Insurance. Aaron Insurance, they're all about putting you in a better insurance position, whether it's your home, life, auto, or business coverage. They make sure your protection actually fits your life. If you're looking for a team that takes the guesswork out of insurance, this is it. Be sure to go follow Aaron Insurance Group on social media to stay connected every day and see how they're helping people along the way.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mitt. Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid.
I just knew it. The Riley Green conversation, whether or not they should pay him, is just going to be controversial. Should have known it. Some people think he's worth way more than the number I threw out there, which was $21 million, $22 million a year for 5 years, 105 total. Some people think he's worth way more than that he should get 30. Some folks think they shouldn't re-sign him at all. Riley Green, man. No one will ever agree on him. No one will ever just be able to appreciate Riley Green for who he is. Or I guess not no one. Everyone won't be able to. There will always be some people who just only see Riley Green for his flaws. And I have such a hard time wrapping my head around why.
I think, but we do have to understand, people not appreciating Riley Green, I disagree with. People not agreeing on Riley Green, I think is the more so the right phrase. Because we still just don't really know who Riley Green is. I still feel that way. I still just think, as far as a guy who, think about the guys who get paid. Because if you're Riley Green, I'm viewing myself as a superstar. I'm saying, no, I don't really want to take 5 years, $90 million. I don't want to take 5 years, $110 million. I want to hit the open market. It doesn't really make sense for me to sign an extension unless he really wants to be in Detroit. I want to hit the open market because I think another team will pay me more. And he hits the open market in 2029. He has 2 years after this one before he would. If I'm the Tigers, I'm like, Riley Green's not a superstar player. Like, you think you're going to get more than this right now? Like, we're doing you a favor right now, giving you this deal to take you into your, early to mid 30s. And then after that, you can figure it out. I just think that's the reason why people are split on whether you should pay him or not, is because Riley Green probably views himself as something that he probably isn't. And that's a superstar player. Guys don't really get paid at this point in their career. It either happens with the Connor Griffins and the Kevin McGonagals, like we've talked about, Julio Rodriguez, Ronald Acuna, all of those guys got paid as super young prospect players, and it worked out for a lot of them. Or they just wait till they hit the open market, unless they are a super duper star. And then they will get the huge big time extension when they're 26 years old, 25 years old, with a couple years left of arbitration. Riley Green just fits into a weird mold.
Yeah, that's without a doubt. The highest paid outfielders in baseball. Well, back up. Riley Green, I think he's like a top 10-ish outfielder in baseball. Is that fair? He's like on any given year inside of the top 10 for best outfielders in the
You think so?
Give or take. Yeah, like about 10.
Top 10 corner outfielder, I'd give him.
Sure, we can go that route. Top 10 corner outfielder. Okay, let's go through a couple names and how much money they're getting paid. At the very top is Kyle Tucker, who, as I was deep diving this yesterday, it's just kind of unbelievable the amount of money he's making. He's he's the highest paid player that plays outfield. Signed at the time he was 28, and it's $60 million a year. Juan Soto's making 51, and that's second.
Yeah, except Juan Soto's getting paid 51 for 15 years or whatever it is.
There's only 6 players making more than $30 million. And somehow Kyle Tucker's making near double what like a Mookie Betts is making, just because the Dodgers were like, screw it. We'll just overpay
no one else
him.
will pay him. We have all this deferred monies for later. We'll just give him all this money right now, which it's so funny
There was
because
zero reason to give him $60 a year.
The way that Tucker is talked about, it's like he's the worst player in all of baseball. Like, you look at his numbers, the Tigers would just so desperately take that in right field right now.
Yeah. Aaron Judge is $40 million a year. Kyle Tucker's $60. Mike Trout is $35. He was $27 when he signed. Cody Bellinger's making $32. He was $30 when he signed. Mookie Betts, $30 million a year, $28 when he signed. Yelich, $26 a year, $28 when he signed. George Springer, $31 per season, $25 when he signed. Here's maybe the closest example, maybe not. Giancarlo Stanton, 25 years old when he signed, and it's for $25 million per season. Or maybe, there's just not a lot of examples of guys that are, once they hit arbitration, then end up signing their deals, you know? So it is kind of a tough, if we want to get Riley under contract, you probably are going to have to overpay him a little bit. So maybe that $22 million a year I threw out is a little bit shy of what it needs to be. In my head, it was just like, let's just pay him whatever it takes to be a top 10 paid outfielder, and I feel like he would take that because I feel like Riley Green should know that's kind of the group he's in. And if he thinks he's a true superstar that belongs in the Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Cody Bellinger group, I guess it's kind of just a lost cause, and they're going to fight this thing out all the way until free agency because that's a pretty wide gap to view yourself with.
Here's the issue, though. A lot of those guys you named, when they were paid, were much better players than Riley Green currently is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Bellinger's a different one, because he's hit the open market like twice now.
And it's the Yankees.
Yeah, right. And he was with the Cubs and everything too. But like he's been on like the 1-year deal, kind of weird trend for a couple of years. Christian Yelich was an MVP when he got paid. Giancarlo Stanton was an MVP when he got paid. Mike Trout, like all of those guys were top of the sport where Riley Green is not. And so
Riley, you can either take this money now and get an extra 2 years of getting like big time dollars, or we can just fight this out in arbitration where you're going to be making $6, $8, $10 million most per season. We'll basically double that for the next 2 seasons, plus lock you up long term. You'll be a free agent again by the time you're 30, 31 years old.
Is it? Yeah, but is that when that's the issue? Does he want to hit the open market at 31, 32? Or does he want to keep it on track where he's going to hit it at 28?
I mean, a lot of these guys, like George Springer, 31 years old when he hit the open market and still got $25 million per season.
Yeah. Was traded in the mix of that as well, though.
Correct.
That's worth noting. Every single guy that you named there outside of Mike Trout has been dealt.
Teoscar Hernandez.
Because of a deal.
Signed when he was 32. For
another guy that's been dealt.
$22 million per season.
I just think that it's more likely. Like, what's more likely? Riley Green gets paid this offseason by the Tigers, or he gets traded before he hits the open market as a Tiger. Because every single one of those guys that you just named, outside of Mike Trout, got traded because of the contract situation.
See, this is why if I'm the Tigers, I really want to get this thing done because he has 2 more years of arbitration left. I don't want the following offseason or the following season to be like, oh, well, you got to move an expiring contract. Like, no, let's avoid that entire conversation now so we don't have to risk the entire, it's better than losing thing. It's better than losing him for nothing. We have to move him now.
Earlier. Yeah,
let's lock up Riley Green now, and if that takes a little bit of an overpay to do it, fine by me. Make him one of the highest. I'm not telling you to pay him $30 million a year and make him one of the 6 highest paid offensive outfielders in all of baseball. That's not what you should do, and if that's what he expects, then I guess you're just not signing him. But I have no problem giving him $25 million a season, whatever it ends up being, if that means we can extend him and we get to avoid the entire, do we need to move this expiring contract? Because then you really do just fall into the cycle of we're going to do it with this group and then we're not going to pay him. And then we're going to do it with this group and then we're not going to pay him. And then we're going to do it with this group. And you just fall into this endless cycle. Again, I'm not that mad that they did it.
That is what teams do, though. Like, that is what teams do. And it's just, it goes back to the grand scheme conversation of who are the Tigers. Because, like, a team like the Milwaukee Brewers, they don't just do it with their pitchers. They traded away Willie Adames at the peak of his career because they didn't want to pay him and he wanted too much money to the Giants, and now he stinks. And he's way overpaid. Mm-hmm. And it's just another smart move. And they continue to build up these guys via the prospects. And You pay the guys that you do trust early. That's why they paid McGonigal. That's why we're having the conversation about paying Max Clark. And it's just, if Riley Green does expect too much money that you didn't want to, unfortunately, the best time to trade him is after this season, right?
Yeah, but I mean, that would be so like, that's where you truly do start to lose Tigers fans. So it's like, yes, I understand trading Skubal. I understand not paying Skubal to begin with, A, because the market value was ridiculous amount and his agent was being a jerk about it. But B, I don't really want to pay pitchers early on before you have to, considering they could miss an entire season at any given point. With an outfielder, like, to trade him this offseason, that'd be insane to me.
But I'm just saying, if they have no plan of extending him and he wants to hit the open market, all I'm saying is that the best time to trade him then would be this offseason. It just would be. I'm not saying they have to do it. It's just, if you want to get your best return on investment, which is what smart teams do, it would be the time now with 2 years left rather than it being an expiring.
Or the smart thing to do would just be to extend him right now. If
That's
they
not what
play
I'm
ball.
saying.
No,
if
I know
Riley
what you're
Green
saying.
doesn't want to.
Yes, I understand what you're saying with that. I think the smarter thing, like, if you were able to lock him up this season, I think that is the most applauded thing that could possibly happen if you're Scott Harris. If you ended up getting Riley Green for 26, even if it's $27 million, and you put him above Yelich, who won an MVP before he got paid, by the way, and you give him more money than that, I would applaud it, to be quite honest. This is one where I don't think you can be an overpay, because I don't want to be stuck in the same situation of, well, we're just going to keep developing our talent. Okay, if you're willing to, like, kind of attach your ropes to Clark and McGonigal and say, no, as long as these guys are on the team, we're going to be competitive, because we're not going to do this whole, like, oh, are they going to pay them thing? Then do it with all the guys you really care about. And I feel like Riley Green still fits into that conversation. Yeah. For me, I know a lot of other people think that he shouldn't. I still think he's there, and I think that would be a pretty tremendous loss if they lost out on him. And I wouldn't do it with Dingler, because you still have another 3-4 years of team control, and he'd be 31 by the time he's actually a free agent.
No point in either of them even entertaining the idea of an extension right now. But yeah, with Green, it would also just be a good sign from this front office and ownership that, like, okay, we are just, like, willing to pay guys that we care about, because it would be a good sign. And obviously with Tarek Skubal getting traded away, it was a guy they were not willing to pay. And so if they were willing to pay any of them, that'd be nice.
And if with $83 million coming off the books between Skubal, Flaherty, Glaber, and Kenley Jansen, I mean, they really have no reason to not go sign Riley Green and Max Clark to contract extensions, because they could sign both of them to contract extensions and still be freeing up about $40 million, even if they overpaid them, both of them. They could still free up $40 million. So then they might not have to use any of it this offseason, because we might not play baseball and there might not be a free agency period.
Yeah, like, I wonder if teams are even considering the contracts right now. Like, is that something that is even running through their brains, of just, like, trying to extend guys and pay guys? Or is it just all of that is put on pause?
Well, you know what would be the worst case scenario is next season gets tossed away, and all of a sudden you go into a final year of Riley Green's contract and you wasted one of the arbitration years. I'm not exactly sure if that's even how it'd work, but that's like a nightmare scenario where you lose out an entire year of arbitration, and he's a free agent 1 year earlier, basically, 1 season earlier. That'd be horrific. So just lock him up now. I would be massively disappointed in the Tigers if they decided to not pay Riley Green. And we had to do this whole will they trade him, will they keep him thing next year. Avoid all of that by just extending him now. 989-837-6125. This is the Ben Bosscher Show, live here on 100.9 The Mitt. The show, as always, is brought to you by Bresky Siding and Building Repair. Protect your home with Bresky Siding and Building Repair. That is who the show is brought to you by. I'll let you know about that. But the Midland Area Community Foundation, they're dedicated to strengthening our community through generosity and connection, supporting local nonprofits, scholarships, and projects that make Midland a better place to live, work, and play. That is the Midland Area Community Foundation.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mitt. on 100.9 The Myth.
Yeah, we nailed it, by the way. Jahmyr Gibbs not actually practicing, just went on the field with a jersey, with his pads on, did stretching, went through a walkthrough, not actually doing the practice. Figures, though. Not a surprise in that department. We'll get back to Jahmyr Gibbs in the 11 o'clock hour. We're going to take a trip around the league right now.
It's time to zoom out and go around the league.
All right, Kyle, it's that time of year again where everyone's kind of rating their quarterbacks heading into the season. The Athletic did a really good survey trying to get together, the best quarterbacks list in football. What I want to do is they have this broken up into tiers.
You're talking about the Mike Sando tier list?
Correct.
Yeah.
I would like to do one player that's most likely to drop and one player that's most likely to go up in each tier that we have. Easy enough?
Yep.
Okay, so tier 1, nobody can move up in tier 1, so we have to choose someone to drop out of tier 1. Tier 1 is Patrick Mahomes, who they asked 50 people. One single person didn't have him tier 1. It's the first time he hasn't unanimously been in tier 1 since he became a tier 1 guy. So shout out to that one person who doesn't think Patrick Mahomes is a tier 1 quarterback anymore. Josh Allen, who somehow 2 people didn't have as a tier 1 guy.
That one even makes less sense.
I agree with
you.
you.
The Mahomes one could just be like, oh, he's hurt, I'm not going to put him in there.
What has Josh Allen done? This is just Chiefs executives.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Matthew Stafford, a tier 1 guy. Joe Burrow, a tier 1 guy. And those are your 4 tier 1 guys. So of those 4 quarterbacks, who's the most likely person to drop out of the tier 1?
You know who it is?
Stafford.
It's the reigning MVP.
Yeah.
It's Stafford. It just is. The age. I mean, he's going to be 38 this season. We know that the injury history has kind of hurt him at this point in his career at the Rams. Like, it's been a little shaky. He's just had the years where it's like, oh, man. I mean, coming into last year, we were like, they might trade Stafford because of the injury stuff. And they drafted Ty Simpson, so it feels like they're gearing up to move on from Stafford here soon. I think it's him.
Do you think if Burrow has another season with 0 fourth-quarter comebacks, he just automatically gets bumped from this list?
Yeah, he could. I mean, and if he just has another, injured year.
Yeah, if he has another injured season, then...
Yeah, it's like at some point that really does have to plague him.
Yeah, I think I would go with Joe Burrow. I think even if he stays
over
healthy,
Stafford, really.
I think even if he stays healthy and they don't make the playoffs, it'd be such a disaster that it's like, I mean, with the weapons that he has, if he stayed healthy the whole year, even if the defense should be improved with Dexter Lawrence as well, if they don't make the playoffs, it's like, okay, man, I'm done making excuses for this guy. Everyone says Herbert's the excuse
But what if he
guy?
just has another really good statistical year and they don't make the playoffs like he did 2 years ago?
I don't think Joe Burrow's an empty stats guy, but there is something there's something to, we put up a massive amount of yards and we score touchdowns, but in the fourth quarter, he's just not one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league. He's not one of the 5 best guys I would trust to go on a game-winning drive right now. I feel like that stuff's going to start to matter more. So I would go with Burrow. Here's the list of tier 2 guys. So we need a guy who's most likely to go up and a guy who's most likely to go down. Lamar Jackson, a tier 2 guy. Justin Herbert, a tier 2 guy. Dak Prescott, a tier 2 guy. Drake May. Jared Goff. Jordan Love and Brock Purdy. And Caleb Williams. And Jaden Daniels. And Baker Mayfield. And Sam Darnold. A lot of tier 2 guys. Trevor Lawrence fits this as well. Jalen Hurts. And that is your entire list. Wow, that is...
Yeah.
A large tier.
Well, there's only 4 tiers here, so at some point there had to be a huge one. I think this probably should have been split into a smaller group here because the fact that Lamar Jackson is the top of this tier and Jalen Hurts is the bottom and they are the same tier feels awfully disrespectful to Lamar Jackson.
Last year, he was a tier 1 guy. So he got bumped from that tier and is now in the tier 2. Do you think he's the most likely person to bounce back? Because he's certainly one of like the 3 most likely guys to jump into the next tier.
Yeah, I think so. There's a few guys that, like a Justin Herbert, I think certainly has the case. If May just has the same year he had last year, because I think that's really the lone case against Drake May not being super duper high is, hey, we need to see another year. You know, we got fooled by CJ Stroud as well. Like, let's get another season of May being the guy, and then if he does, then he is a tier 1. He's an S tier quarterback. So I would say it's between Lamar, May, and Herbert. I would probably keep it with Lamar, though.
You wouldn't have Dak in there? Because I feel like Dak is one of those
As a guy
guys
that could jump into the tier 1, I think this is like the peak of Dak being this high.
I feel like Stafford's just really changed my mind as to when a quarterback's peak can be. And, if you take care of your body, you can just continue to get better into your late 30s. I feel like that could totally happen with Dak Prescott. He wouldn't necessarily be my choice here. I'm going with Justin Herbert. I think he's the most likely guy to finally, because if Justin Herbert had 2 playoff wins to his resume, or 1 for that matter, he's probably a tier 1 guy already. That's the only thing that people are holding him back.
Okay, but we're acting like that's not that's the only thing. It's a pretty big thing.
It's a massive thing for sure. I just think he has all the intangibles. He does he makes the big time throws.
Yeah,
he puts up the stats.
He's a great guy, but he only has 3 DUIs. That's the only thing people are holding against him.
Herbert's never done anything like that.
I'm just saying though, it's kind of like the biggest thing. Winning in the playoffs,
Sure.
Oh, he does everything else perfect, but he only cheated on his girlfriend 4 times.
I think this is the year Herbert puts it together. Who's the most likely guy to drop out of this tier? The back end of it was
huge.
Oh, wait.
Tier.
Can I say Caleb Williams is my guy?
Sure, man.
I think it might be Caleb Williams to jump into the first tier.
Over Lamar. Over Herbert.
Over Lamar, but not over Herbert.
Over Lamar?
Yeah, Lamar's got a lot to prove, man.
What does that even mean he's got a lot to prove? He's been an S-tier quarterback the majority of his career, and he had 1 down year, and he's got a lot to prove now?
He's got to prove that
he's got more to prove than Herbert?
He's, no, but Herbert's still just been an ascension the entire time. It's been a steady increase in terms of where his stock has been. Lamar's year last year was not only injured, but when he was healthy, he just did not look like the same guy at all. I think he does have a lot to prove in terms of hey, are you going to be able to get back to that tier 1? Because I think a lot of the reason, don't get me wrong, Lamar is an incredible pocket passer. That's the most underrated skill he has. But once the athleticism declines, are you still going to be a tier 1 quarterback? And I think last year was the first time we saw the athleticism decline. Maybe it's because he was injured. Maybe it's because he was playing at a higher weight than he was supposed to. But he didn't have that same athleticism, and for that reason, he wasn't a tier 1 guy. So I would like to see if he can get that athleticism back, and I think that is what he has to prove going into this year, whereas Herbert, not as concerned about his athleticism. Caleb Williams, not really all that concerned about his lack of athleticism. That's all with Lamar. It's nothing personal. I like him.
As far as the tier 2 guys to fall, all these guys at the top, they're completely safe. You go Goff. I think Love is also just safe. Purdy's safe. Caleb is fine. Jaden Daniels is fine. Then you get into this mix of Baker, Darnold, Lawrence, and Hurts. I think Lawrence is fine, but I think there is a lot of people that would bank on, hey, I'm just going to look at the rest of Trevor Lawrence's career rather than the back half of last season.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say he's fine here. It comes down between Baker, Darnold, and Hurts. Hurts lost A.J. Brown.
No Daniels?
I think Daniels is fine. Hurts lost A.J. Brown. And he already wasn't very good last year. If he backs it up again, and now they lost the best player in that entire offense, and Saquon Barkley probably still is, but whatever. They lost the best wide receiver. There's a world where it's Jalen Hurts. I'm actually going to go with Sam Darnold, though. I'm going to be disrespectful. I know that we do a lot of it on this show, and I try to defend him a little bit because it kind of feels bad. It's like sour grapes at this point.
Hey, he led the league in turnover-worthy plays last year.
Yeah.
We can't just ignore that.
I just think, and I'm pretty sure Noah's in the YouTube chat today, so he's really going to not like this one. I just think it's going to be Darnold. I think it's going to be Darnold.
I'll go with Darnold here, too. I really thought about taking Daniels, though. He didn't look like the same guy last year. But, yeah, it can't just be ignored that Sam Darnold led the league in turnovers and turnover-worthy plays and turnover-worthy percentage throws. That's a thing that happened last year. Tier 3, who's the most likely guy to jump up? Bo Nix, Aaron Rodgers, C.J. Stroud all the way back here, Daniel Jones, Bryce Young, Kyler Murray, Jackson Dart, Cam Ward, and Tyler Shook, and Tua Tagovailoa, and Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins
Not
being
Kirk
here.
Cousins.
Yeah, it's not him. It's not Tua. I think there's an obvious answer here, and it's not C.J. Stroud to me. I kind of have like a little bit, not lost it on the C.J. Stroud train, but I'm just like, I think I'm chilling on betting on him again. I think it's Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray has been a guy in his career that has been above this tier, like no doubt about it. And he's now in one of the better situations of his career, at least the best one in a while, and we've seen him do it before. It's not like he's super old. The contract was just a thing that was tied to Kyler Murray for a long time that had people down on him. I think it's just certainly Kyler Murray.
I think it's Cam Ward. I think there's the most amount of room for growth. With Cam Ward, we're coming from literally nothing. So if he just shows like any sort of signs of, oh, this guy's like actually showing signs of a franchise quarterback, he could easily jump into that next tier.
Yeah.
I think the most likely guy to drop is just, I don't know.
Two guys that won't be starting quarterbacks next year in Tua Tagovailoa and Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Right? Like
correct. And I don't think we really need to establish the tier 4 guys.
Yeah, but what if who's the sneaky guy that could be really good though? Who are all they?
Malik Willis, Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, it won't be him. Michael Penix, Jacoby Brissett, J.J. McCarthy, Shedeur Sanders.
Wait, 9?
Yeah, 9.
Could it be 9? I mean, the only answer here is like Shedeur, right? All of the other guys are just old, washed backups. I guess Malik Willis could.
I think Geno could have a bounce back year where like he leads the Jets to like 7 wins, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, look at that. The Jets have the 10th pick in the draft rather than having the first overall pick.
What if Brissett is like the late career guy?
Could be.
Like Brissett all of a sudden is like, wow, this guy's actually like pretty solid at this point in his career.
He definitely could be. Knows how to throw it out.
It's definitely not going to be 9, that's for sure.
989-837-6125. This is the Ben Bosscher Show live here on 100.9 The Mate. Crane's L&M Appliance Center has been serving the Tri-City area with quality homes appliances from refrigerators and washers to stoves and dishwashers, backed by friendly, knowledgeable staff you can count on. They make getting the right appliance easy with delivery, professional installation, haul away for your old unit, and even financing options to fit your budget. Stop into Crane's L&M Appliance Centers today and discover dependable brands and great values for every room in your home.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid. Repair on 100.9 The Myth.
Okay, we'll get to a couple messages here regarding a bunch of different stuff that's happened over the past hour. We got one that says, why would you choose to play a non-conference game versus a Power 5 team and risk losing and missing the playoffs versus choosing a non-conference team against some low-level conference? Yeah, no, this texture's totally right. I don't know why you would choose it. I'm just complaining as a fan that we don't have more Big Ten versus SEC matchups. That's really all it is. There is no incentive.
A lot of the teams are getting rid of even the ones that had already been signed. They're like trying to get rid of them.
Yeah, there's no incentives for the teams.
There isn't one at all. And it used to be like the opposite, right? In the 4-team playoff, it was like you could beat Florida State. You could go 12-0 and have the strength of schedule weakness kill you. So you kind of had to have one of these games to win it, but it also was a death sentence, right? If you lost that game in the 4-team playoff era, you just were out of it probably.
Which made the regular season really fun.
Yeah.
I still think
College
it's the
football
best
sucks.
era.
It just sucks.
Another text said, Riley Green has shown so much growth. If you asked me this a year ago, I would have said ditch him. As of this year, I would lock him up for 10 years, $250 million, kind of like Baez. Hated his contract when he first got here. Now I want him extended. Yeah, I think I'm all set on a Javi Baez extension. I'm glad to see him play out his contract. Shockingly, has not turned into like the most horrific contract in baseball.
Yeah. It still has been a bad contract.
Correct.
Like, it doesn't change. And I love Javi too, but it still has been a bad contract.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I certainly would not be signing up to pay Green all the way until he was 35 years old. I don't think it's a 10-year extension. I'd just be hesitant to give pretty much anybody a 10-year extension.
That's what I'm saying, dude. They should just give the Scooble deal to one of these guys. Big FU to Tarek Scooble. Hey, Riley Green, here's 10 years, $400 million.
Kyle Tucker's like,
we
he got what?
Yeah, we were willing to pay it.
Just not to you. Not to someone who
for you.
Showed zero signs of willingness to be here long term.
Mm-hmm.
Got a text directly to Kyle. Says, Kyle, imagine if the Tigers would have signed Scooble for a long-term contract at the same time frame Green is at right now. We'd be loving life.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I guess I'm kind of confusing as to what that even means. Got a text that said, should I consider selling Gibbs in my fantasy league after all of this that has gone down?
Okay, I will always say this. In a dynasty league, I'm assuming this is because there's no way you've done your redraft draft the first week of August if you're a psycho. If you have Gibbs in a dynasty football league, you either have to because I assume your Lions fans are in your league. It's a Lions fans league, I would figure. I would always trade him. If I have him in dynasty, his price is going to be astronomical.
I think he'd be the highest. In a non-quarterback, non-superflex league, I think he'd be the highest valued guy in the entire league. If it's a superflex league, it's a little different.
For sure. But I would probably trade him. But also, it's like having Gibbs in a dynasty league is pretty sick. And I don't have him in a dynasty league, so it's easy for me to say that. But I always would be like, I'm going to take the tax of Lions fans that will pay extra for him.
I think Gibbs is one of the few just untouchables. I don't think you'll. It's like the Scooble trade. You're just not going to win this trade if he's going to be running back 1 or 2 this year. You lose the trade no matter what. You can get 3 firsts and another running back.
In football, though, I think untouchables don't last very long.
I agree with you there, but I do think right now in this moment, Gibbs is probably the most untouchable asset.
Which would make his price at all-time high. I'm always 2 steps ahead.
You sound like the Tigers. We're just going to sell him right now before we can contend.
Screw it. Yeah, trade Riley Green now.
I'm pretty sure that person who texted in was Troy, who plays in the league that you and I are in, and is
and he has Gibbs.
Considering selling Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, that was that's.
Hey, maybe we should talk on the phone a little bit later, Troy.
Yeah, maybe you should trade Gibbs to me.
I think he's only worth like a third.
Yeah, I'll give you Brandon Ayuk for him. I'm pretty sure he's playing this year.
989-837-6125. Let's circle back to more about Jahmyr Gibbs, who showed up to practice with his jersey, didn't actually participate in practice today. A really unsettling quote from Dan Campbell. From Brad Holmes. I'll share that with you when we come back.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Myth.
You really...
from the Blazy Electric Studios. This is Sports Radio 100.9 The Mitt. WLUN, Pinconning Bay City, Saginaw, Midland.
Brad Holmes went on NFL Sirius XM yesterday. First time he's spoken about the Jahmyr Gibbs contract dispute publicly. And I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say it couldn't have gone worse, because I guess it could have been worse than this. But I certainly did not leave listening to this interview feeling better about the Jahmyr Gibbs contract situation. Here is Brad Holmes on Sirius XM NFL.
Look, obviously, we love Jahmyr. Me and Dan have always been believers in, that 1-2 punch. I just think that that's kind of how this league is going now, and we're having dialogue. We'll see where it goes.
It'll get there.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
Okay, couple things. One a little bit deeper. One not as deep. The sigh at the end. It'll get done. I hope. What do you mean you'll hope? Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy at all. Hope is just hope. It's something to get your hopes up.
Hope is something you say when you're not in charge of it. Like, you and I hope that it gets done. Yeah, Lions fans hope that it gets done. The guy who literally is in charge of getting it done.
Yeah, brother, there's no hope for you.
What do you mean you hope? Just do it.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
You actually have it. You are one of the very few people on this planet that have control of the situation and whether or not it gets done. All of us get to sit here and hope. Brad Holmes, you do not have the luxury of hoping with this thing. It is your job. Hey, Kyle, I hope we have a show today. No, we just have the ability to do a show today.
Hopefully.
No, we're just going to do one. There's no hoping. We're just going to get it done.
Yeah. Hopefully I can keep your mic on this whole segment. We'll see.
That's first and foremost. Just the depressing. Like, it's never a great sign when the interviewer is like comforting the subject, because that's kind of what it felt like it was.
That's the funniest part to me.
Hey,
about
man,
the
it'll
whole
get
thing.
done.
You got it, man.
You got this.
You got it, little pal, champ.
Like, what? I don't really. Okay. The second thing is the fact that Brad Holmes, and this is like, you really got to be tapped in to know this kind of stuff. Brad Holmes said, we really value the 1-2 punch. Dan Campbell and I have talked about it, the importance of having a 1-2 punch, or whatever the exact phrasing was. That is the opposite of what Dan Campbell has said about Jahmyr Gibbs this offseason. In spring practices, he said Gibbs is going to be the bell cow now. And then right at the beginning of training camp during one of his press conferences, he said, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said the thing about the bell cow, because now Jahmyr Gibbs isn't playing. But Dan Campbell's made it super, super obvious. He's not worried about it. Oh, it's going to get done, blah, blah, blah. And now I'm starting to wonder if Dan Campbell's playing this in such a nonchalant way to where, like, yeah, we know it's going to get done. We're not worried about this at all. Almost as like a mending of the bridge between Gibbs and Holmes right now. Like, hey, like, no, this is going to get done. You guys have to go work this out. Like, we got to get him on the field. Like, obviously, it's my job to be the coach, and I just want him out there to play. Maybe there's some of that. Maybe there's, some, when he said, maybe I shouldn't have said the bell cow thing. Maybe it's not like I gave Jahmyr Gibbs an upper hand. It's more like Brad Holmes is kind of upset with me that I said that. Maybe it's Brad Holmes wants to use Jahmyr Gibbs one way, and Dan Campbell wants to use Jahmyr Gibbs in a different way, in a bell cow way, whereas Brad Holmes views it as, no, we want to continue to do the 1-2 punch, and I thought they were aligned on that. Maybe they're not. My head is like spewing and spinning with this entire situation, trying to come up with any sort of reason as to why this contract hasn't getting done. Because here's the thing. Every day we get a report that's like, well, it should be done within the next 48 hours. And I'm not going to call out the specific people, but like, we've gotten a handful of those over the past week. Like, oh yeah, this is expected to be done here rather quickly. It's like, okay, then when's it going to get done? I think my panic meter is now at like a 4.5 or 5 compared to a 2, which is what it had been at the entire time. And I'm probably like, I don't want to say I'm spewing nonsense, but I'm just trying to make sense of what's going on right now, because I don't think that Brad Holmes quote was very encouraging at all.
Yeah, but I think, does it not get offset by the news we got afterwards this morning that Jahmyr Gibbs is at least doing more at practice?
That he put a jersey on and stretched for a while, I guess. It's not a bad sign that he did that.
Yeah, like I think that like helps things a little bit. It's not getting to the point where Gibbs is just,
he's not pissed.
Right, exactly. Now the fact that everybody's gotten paid At least there isn't anyone that is that caliber of running back that has yet to get paid. You know, at Achane a couple weeks ago, and then Bijan earlier this week. Now Jonathan Taylor gets paid this morning. We have reached the point now where going forward, it's like, okay, now there's really no reason for this not to get done. Because that could have been Gibbs' last thing of like, hey, I want to see all these guys get paid, especially after Bijan got paid. Let's wait for Taylor's deal to make sure that I can get the highest one, or his agency, whatever. If that's the standpoint they want to take, that's understandable, and I get it. And maybe even the Lions wanted to wait it out too. Who knows? It could have been either side wanting to wait it out. Now that it has all been done as far as the other contracts for the other RBs, there's no reason why truly tomorrow morning we should not have a Gibbs contract, right?
I would think so, but then
I'm not
we're
saying
setting
I
ourselves up
expect it. Yeah,
to,
but what's the
tomorrow
wait,
morning
though?
rolls around, it's like,
What's the difference between getting it done tomorrow morning and Monday morning? Like, what's going to change?
couple days worth of practice.
That he's not going to participate in? You know,
that's
like
what it would be.
Like, I just think that we have reached the point now where it's like, okay, what's the holdup now? It better get done now.
Yeah, because if he still hasn't been extended Monday morning, I think we are allowed to be like,
yeah,
hey, this thing's going to get done,
you guys, right? You guys still hoping or?
Yeah, the hoping strategy, is that not working out for you guys right now? Does it concern you at all that Brad Holmes said one thing that they want to utilize him in one way of like, oh, we still believe in the 1-2 punch, and that's why we like he didn't blatantly say it, but in between the lines, it's like that's why we brought Pacheco in. Versus Dan Campbell was like, no, we want to use him as the bell cow. That part of it is maybe the most big picture concerning part about this entire Jahmyr Gibbs contract situation, that there's potentially I wouldn't even call it a dispute, but like a disagreement as to how they're supposed to be using Jahmyr Gibbs this season. And at the end of the day, it's going to be up to Dan Campbell. But if Brad Holmes is like, hey, I thought we were going to do this one way, and Dan Campbell's like, no, we have to do it another way, that's not necessarily great. And I'm not reporting that that's what's happening, but like two very contradicting things that have been said by both Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell over the past couple of months regarding how they're going to use Gibbs. That's not great.
I think it's more of a nothing than a something, but I do agree with you in the fact that it's not like a good thing. You know, like this, it's not a good thing to hear those guys not spewing the same information. And like I stated earlier, I think that Dan Campbell was just being himself and just saying, he has a comfortable relationship with the media. They asked him about Jahmyr Gibbs' role this season with losing David Montgomery. It was one of the first things he said when he spoke for the first time this offseason. Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be the guy this year. He's going to be the dude. He's going to be the bell cow. We're going to give him as many carries and touches as possible.
He hopes.
And that was just him being honest, because he has that relationship with the media, and he's willing to say that. And I think Brad Holmes is probably the guy that's like, hey, like I maybe we are going to use him that way, but we probably shouldn't say that right now. You know, like with him not under contract yet. And who knows? Maybe Dan Campbell when he said that, going into training camp, didn't expect Jahmyr Gibbs to hold in. Because they haven't had this yet. This is the first time for Dan Campbell as a head coach they've had a real hold-in. Mm-hmm. And it's something that happens very commonly in the NFL, and so it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But for this organization and for the people that are in charge here, this is the first example of it. And oh, by the way, the first example of it happens to be maybe your best player.
Correct.
So, yeah, maybe that's the reasoning behind Brad Holmes dialing it back a little bit. Like, hey, Dan, I love you, man. But we probably do have to be a little bit tactical, and we have to try to get some leverage back in this situation. I don't think it matters at the end of the day.
I don't either.
I think whether or not Dan Campbell said that, I think whether or not they believe he's going to be a bell cow or not, none of it changes the fact that whenever this contract comes in, he's likely the highest paid running back in NFL history.
But no matter what, the last thing you can possibly do is be like, hey, we want to pay you like we're splitting carries still. Like we want a 1-2 punch, so we're not going to pay you like a premium amount, and then somehow convince him to sign that and then use him like
because that's the thing.
Cow. That's the worst thing. It
stops even before you say somehow. No, he just doesn't sign it then.
Yeah, correct.
Like okay,
you lost the leverage. I guess
then I just won't.
Dan Campbell saying that maybe had a lasting impact more so than we thought it would.
I just don't think it matters. If he doesn't say that at all, he's just still going to get paid the highest amount.
Or would he have been more willing to be like?
Why would he?
No. I'm saying like, does he maybe sign before Bijan Robinson?
Oh, yeah.
Like, if that didn't happen, if Dan Campbell didn't say that, and all of a sudden it's like, no, we'll just sign it now. But now, like, oh, Dan Campbell said you're going to be the bell cow back? Yeah, dude, we get to run to the negotiation table and say we're going to be the highest paid running back in the league this year. It was like Jahmyr Gibbs' agent probably heard that and was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, we get to go be the best running back in the
But I
NFL,
also
even
just
though
think-
we already knew he was going
that's what
to
I was
be the
gonna
bell
say.
cow.
I even but we also knew he was going to be the highest paid running back too. You know, like
I don't think we knew that. I think it was up in the air between who was going to get paid first or second, Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson. And I think after Dan Campbell said bell cow, it's like Jahmyr Gibbs' agent probably started foaming at the mouth like, oh, yeah, we're letting Bijan get it first.
yeah.
What's your panic meter at now? Because mine had always been
Not
a 2,
high.
and after that last night, 4.5, I would say.
I'm still at like a 2. I just don't. He's gonna get paid. They're gonna pay him.
What if he's still not practicing on Monday?
That's what I said. I said this earlier. Like if the more days that go by, yeah, I will start to be a little bit like, oh, okay, like maybe I'll probably be at a 4 by Monday if it doesn't happen by then.
Man.
And then if we're a week from now, maybe I will creep over that 5 number. But I just don't see this thing lingering out. There's no reason for it to at this point. They want to pay him. He wants to be the highest paid running back. They need him. He like all of the reasons involved. It makes no sense for this thing to linger on even more.
989-837-6125. This is the Ben Bosscher Show live here on 100.9 The Mid. The 11 o'clock hour is brought to you by Yider Insurance. Life happens fast, and at Yider Insurance Group, they're here to make sure you're covered every step of the way. Locally owned, trusted, and dedicated to keeping Midland area homes safe and looking sharp. Quality, not just another policy number either. From home and auto to business and life insurance, Yider is the right coverage for every stage of life. Their team makes insurance simple with expert advice and real people you can actually talk to. That's Yider Insurance Group. We'll be there when you need us since 1940.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid.
So I think we all can applaud Scott Harris for what he did at this year's deadline. I think it's a little bit premature to be like, we owe him an apology, because it was still a pretty awful last couple of years.
I don't know, dude. You see Casey Mize?
No, this year was good, man. Like, I'm not going to take that away from Scott Harris. That doesn't make up for the other bad stuff that he's done, whether that's, the Fromber contract doesn't look great right now. Kenta Maeda, the classic, Alex Cobb, the last 2 deadlines prior to this past one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that to pull him down in terms of the resume. So I'm not just going to sit here and apologize to him, even though I thought he was going to fail miserably, and he actually put the Tigers in a pretty good situation. I like the Tigers' situation that they find themselves in right now, 1.5 games out from a wild card. But I'm not even talking about like, oh, here's the situation to make the playoffs. I'm just talking about in general. Like, I really like this team. I really like what it looks like going forward. I think Clark and McGonigal are a legit duo at the top of a lineup every day. I think Glaber, Glaber's not here for the long run, but I like Glaber. Riley and Dingler are both guys that are going to be here, hopefully for the long run too. Then I like the pitching staff as well, with Job coming back Saturday and Mellon on the mound a couple days ago. I like the situation and what the Tigers have for themselves right now and going forward. But Kyle, there is 1 or 2 more things that Scott Harris could do the rest of the season that could really get him in good graces of Tigers fans. And I think that is paying Max Clark, and I think that is paying Riley Green. And you mentioned you don't see the contracts at the end of the year very often. Okay, you're also not going into a lockout potentially most years at the end of the year. I think it's important to get these guys under contract. Prior to that happening, we've seen a trend where everyone is trying to get their young players under contract because who knows, there could be a potential 6-year maximum contracts put into place, so why not just get your guys under contract now? Arbitration years could be shortened. Why not get your guys under contract now? I'm looking at what they did with Kevin McGonigal and thinking, why can they not do this with Max Clark? Give him an 8-year deal right now. And I'm not exactly sure what that number is. With McGonigal, it was $150 million. Obviously, it's not going to be quite that. But what's the number that you could give to Max Clark to make him say, yeah, I'll take this right now? And then you don't have to worry about really any of the nonsense that comes with a non-paid player once they hit arbitration. What's the number that you could give Max Clark to where he'd be like, yeah, let's do this. Let's commit to this long-term 8 years without upsetting him? Because if you lowball him and give him like $100 million, okay, if Kevin McGonigal's not under contract, maybe you could have done that. But Kevin McGonigal's making $150, and I don't think Max Clark's going to want to take a whole lot less than Kevin McGonigal's taking. So is 125 like unrealistic? Is it just going to have to be more than that? I have no idea.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like it's also just hard to try to figure out what the mindset of these teams is, what the mindset of these players are. Like, it would not shock me at all with everything that's coming this offseason if extending guys isn't even on anyone's radar right now. Like, does it even make sense for players to sign extensions right now? Maybe it does, and maybe it makes sense for teams. Does it make sense for a guy like, not to change it off of Max Clark, but does it make sense for a guy like Riley Green to sign an extension when if there's a salary floor introduced, that means more teams are going to be forced to play ball with free agents, which ultimately would maybe not drive up the price of him in total, but it would drive up the market for him. It would get more teams involved.
Some crappy team would be like, I guess
we have to spend.
Riley Green a ton of money.
Whereas beforehand, you just know the select teams that are going to be involved in paying him. Like that's the kind of stuff that I have struggled to figure out as far as how does this change the mindset of both the players and the owners going into free agency? Because for the Max Clark situation, I don't think it changes much, right? It just makes sense to lock that guy up if you have the opportunity to, if he is willing to do it. I don't think you can overpay him. And for what we have mentioned as well, if there is a salary floor introduced, you might as well use it on pillars of your franchise rather than him going to ARB and he's going to be making, on like super small amount of money every year. So you're going to be forced to spend some money on guys that might not matter as much. Whereas if you're paying Max Clark, Kevin McGonigal, which you of course already are with McGonigal's contract, bam, there's X percentage of your salary cap that you have to hit already spent. And it's on 2 guys that you know are going to be here and you want to be here.
There's another factor of this too. If you let them go all the way to through arbitration and then have to pay them that sort of money, they become one of the highest paid players at their position if they continue to excel. If you just pay them now, sure, it's a huge risk, but you believe in the asset and you believe in the player and you believe in your system around you to keep these guys up to
and there's
talent.
not a cap. Like, what is the hurt? That's the part that I don't really understand is if you do pay him and it's not a good contract, okay, what does it affect?
Not a whole lot.
What is the Colt Keith contract currently affecting?
Nothing.
Literally nothing other than Chris Illich's wallet. Okay, well.
Oh, no, the billionaire's losing a couple million.
Yeah, oh, dang. Just open up 3 more Little Caesars. Like, like it's not that big of a deal. If there was a salary cap, like if the Lions give Jahmyr Gibbs a huge contract and it turns out to, he gets injured. I don't want to say anything crazy. He gets injured or just it doesn't work out. Maybe he just isn't the best running back in the league and he's paid like it. That severely hurts the Tiger or the Lions. That puts them in such a tough spot.
Mm-hmm.
You pay Max Clark and he ends up just being fine. Okay, like he was going to be here either way.
And if there is going to be one that gets put into play, which I don't think there will be, but it could be on the table, especially if the Dodgers win another World Series, it might actually do the owners favors. I would imagine most of the owners are probably just going to be rooting for the Dodgers because it's going to.
Well, yeah, the owners want the cap more than anything. Yeah.
Right. So I would imagine they're rooting for the Dodgers. If that's going to be a thing, all these deals that happened before are going to get grandfathered in. Okay, then pay Max Clark now, and it won't count against your salary cap then. Pay Riley Green now, and it won't count against your salary cap then. I think I'm even more adamant that they pay Riley Green because I really don't want to go through another season and another 2-year stretch of do they have to trade Riley Green? He's an expiring contract. That just sounds like such a headache. We just got done with that with Tarek Skubal. Let's lock this guy up then.
No, it'd be nice. Why would Riley Green sign right now? That's my only, that's the part I don't get. Yeah, I would love if they signed him too. I would love if they signed a bunch of guys. But, why would Riley sign right now?
Do you think Riley thinks he can truly be a $30 million player? Because we meant, Mookie's the worst $30 million guy. Do we think Riley Green thinks that he's Mookie Betts level contract for when Mookie signed his deal at 28 years old?
Why would he not think that? That's the reasoning behind this. He's a 3-time All-Star. He has shifted his game in a positive direction each of the last 3 seasons. Obviously, the strikeout walk stuff. He's proven that he can do what the team asks of him. I just don't know what else he has to prove. What else does he have to do to not ask for that?
I have a reason as to why he might take a $26 million deal. Hey, do you want $26 million next year, or do you want $8 million next year? Do you want $10 million in 2028, or do you want $26 million in 2028?
Time clock up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, here's an extra. You're going to make a bunch more money if you just sign right now over the next 2 seasons. Plus, do you really think you're going to get a ton more than the $26 million? Even if you think it's I think I can get a little bit more than that. You're not getting the Aaron Judge number, so just sign this, and then if you think you're worth 29 and we're actually paying you 25, okay, those $4 million difference that adds up over 4 years or 5 years, $20 million difference, we'll make up for that right now by paying you $26 million per season rather than the 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it ends up being in arbitration. We can make up for that right now.
It also depends on what type of, how Riley Green wants to play this out. Is he confident that if he does sign a 5-year, a 6-year extension right now in his 26 age season, this offseason with the Tigers, can he get another deal when he's 32? Or does it make more sense for him to hit the open market when he's 29 years old?
Get one big deal.
And then get the 8-year deal that will take you to the end of your career.
If 8-year deals are even allowed.
Sure. But whatever is allowed. We can't just assume that right now. I'm going to assume that what is happening is kind of what is happening. I just don't know how he views himself going forward. What is the smarter route for him to take?
All I'm saying is, and I think those are all great points, all I'm saying is if Scott Harris were to lock these guys up, it would be applauded in every single way. In every way, it would be applauded if he could get these guys under contract.
I agree.
I don't care if it's an overpay or not. Get Max Clark and get Riley Green under contract. Dylan Dingler, man, I love you. I can't wait to see what you can do here as a Tiger. Hopefully you can make multiple All-Star teams. They're not going to pay you. He's 27 already, and he's got 3 more years left of ARB. After this season, 3 more years of team control. Yeah, it's just not happening.
It doesn't make any sense.
We're just waiting until you're 31, and then who knows what you're going to be when you're 31. They're not going to do it.
EBG says McGonigal played 17 games before his extension. Maybe the number they offer depends on how he performs in the same timeline.
Who, Clark?
As far as for Max Clark.
Perhaps. I don't think it's let's see what he does here in 17 games. I think it just took 15, 16, 17, 18 games. I think it was 18. I think it just took that amount of time for them to be like, yeah, this guy's freaking amazing. So let's just pay him. Max Clark, he's played in 5 games? 5 games now? He's passing every test. It's not like there's been one single moment where it's like, rookie. Like, that hasn't really happened yet.
Yeah. And the whole conversation, by the way, when he was called up of, maybe they still try to manipulate his service time and maybe they'll send him back down after he gets to 45 days. There's no way.
He's outplaying that.
Yeah. You can kiss goodbye his rookie eligibility next year. Yeah. I don't really care, though.
He is playing his way into a big contract for this offseason or this rest of this season. Who knows? Man, I'm not looking forward to this end of baseball doom that's coming after this World Series.
Mean, it just depends on how long the lockout's going to last. But certainly on December 1st, when the current CBA expires, there will not be a new one in place.
Haven, Michigan, do your eyes feel itchy, dry, or irritated all day? I promise you that is not normal. And at Mid-Modern Eye Care and Dry Eye Clinic, they specialize in dry eye treatment that actually works. If your eyes burn, water, or feel tired from screens, they can help you get real, lasting relief. From advanced dry eye care to exams, glasses, and contacts, they have you covered. Stop dealing with discomfort and start seeing comfortably again. See better, feel better with Mid-Modern Eye Care and Dry Eye Clinic next to Kroger in Midland.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid.
It's 11:30. That only can mean one thing. It's time for Kyle Sandel to take it away with the news.
The Mits Morning Catch.
Okay, let's take a look at the community calendar presented by Bresky Siding and Building Repair. Movies on Main. It's back tonight on a Thursday night, and it's Back to the Future tonight being played. That's on the side of Ace Hardware right here in downtown Midland. You can check out the whole schedule as far as what movies are going to be playing downtown Midland at maxlovesmidland.com/community-calendar. Okay, other stuff going on in the news. The Hall of Fame game tonight, as we mentioned, Cardinals versus Panthers. It's Beck versus Pickett. Is this the ugliest quarterback battle ever? Man, we got two really ugly dudes going at it today.
It's just not very, he's not very well groomed. You know, his face, his facial hair and his face, it just feels like he just doesn't really, not really about that. And then Beck is just ugly. There's just not a whole lot he can do about it. Yeah, sure, fine. Ugliest quarterback matchup of all time.
It's pretty bad. It's a great way to start the Hall of Fame game. It technically is the first preseason game as well, which you do have someone in our YouTube chat asking you, Ben. Howell Lions Football says, hey, Ben, for you specifically, what are your thoughts on the Lions maybe seeing a couple starters in preseason games? What do you think of that?
I don't mind when they play like one drive in the first preseason game, but I wouldn't play them any more than that.
Yeah.
One single drive.
I've never really cared to see them at all in preseason. I don't really think it affects very much. It's nice. It makes it like more watchable. Like, oh yeah, I'll watch the preseason games more intently, but I've never thought it made a huge difference. So the Lions, speaking to them, they have hired their new president and CEO, Rod Wood, who of course announced he was stepping away from the team quite some time ago. He has been replaced. It's Richard Haddad, who has a 14-year tenure with the Pistons Sports and Entertainment Group, where he currently serves as the organization's COO, the Chief Operating Officer, and their team president and CEO. So he's moving from the Pistons to the Lions. Pretty cool. You got a Detroit guy, so that's nice.
Yeah, it's always, usually you're just hiring other NFL people. Like, you just hire from different teams. I did think it was cool that they found a Detroit guy to come take care of the business. This guy's also, like, very hands-on in trying to get the WNBA team to Detroit that is launching in 2029. I guess not trying, but like part of the reason it got there in 2029. We still don't have a name for that team, right?
No, but I would hope they're just going to take the Shock back.
I would hope so.
That'd be nice.
We'll see, though.
It's a cool name, too. Like, it's at least they have that going for them as well.
WNBA teams have cool names. They're all super unique. The Valkyrie.
Yeah, the Toronto Tempo.
Shock
is
the
new
Tempo.
one. Yeah.
Storm. I like most of the names.
I don't like the Sun. The Connecticut Sun.
The Mercury is not bad.
Yeah, but the Suns, though, is the Suns actually worse? Because there is just the one Sun.
It's true.
So it would make sense for it to just have not a plural. Maybe they're onto something there with the Sun. Okay, speaking of Jahmyr Gibbs, Drew Petzing spoke on Jahmyr Gibbs this morning. He said, quote, I know he's going to be ready when the moment comes. I'm not worried about it at all. All right, if Drew Petzing's not worried about it at all, are you now not worried about it at all?
Yeah, that brings it down to like a 3, honestly. Petzing has an abnormally large head compared to the rest of his body.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say to that one. Okay, let's talk about it. We've been waiting to talk about this for a while. Akron football has a new promotion going on.
We didn't talk about this yesterday?
We didn't, because we had to skip the news yesterday. Akron announces that they are going to have an offensive coordinator of the game for their home opener against Robert Morris. One lucky fan will be able to script the opening drive of their home opener. This is with an asterisk that says with the head coach, of course. And it's only for season ticket holders. A random drawing among season ticket holders that will be held in about 2 weeks. And I don't know if this is a true reporting or not, but I've seen that like Akron football has like sold out their season ticket holders because of this promotion. Like it has worked essentially. This is unbelievable. And the memes that have come from this are so good.
I just don't believe that anyone is actually going to be allowed to come up with any sort of game, or it's going to be like you get in a room with the head coach and he's like, all right, do you want this play or do you want this play? And he's like, oh, and you basically like help the coach put together the plays that he already has. I think it's foolish to think you're going in with a true, like, oh, I get to come up with the game plan on the opening drive. I don't think it's like that at all. I think it's going to be somewhat misleading.
I've seen so many hilarious memes. Like, I saw one that was the Dan Hurley meme when he goes face-to-face with the ref, and he was like, me to Akron's head coach after we score on my drive, and they go scoreless the rest of the game. Or like, what if we just punt on 1st and 10?
Catch the other team off guard. Yeah, we'll know exactly how much control.
Big Cat has gotten in on this, apparently. Apparently, he became an Akron season ticket holder to try to get involved in this. Yeah, there's this report from Yahoo Sports. Akron's football suites are sold out for the first time in program history following its viral play calling promotion.
That is so smart.
For season ticket holders. I thought it was really stupid, but
the creativity, the outside the box thinking from whoever came up with that is next level.
What would you do if you got this spot? Would you
I would
take it seriously
and try to score?
But like, would you take it seriously in an attempt to get into this realm of coaching?
No, but I would take it seriously to tell my friends and everyone in our show, like, oh, you think I can't do this? Oh, guess what? I came up with a game touchdown drive.
Yeah,
drive that ended in touchdown.
First play. Just go deep into the Madden in the college football playbook.
And I will say, I'm for sure not punting. Like, there's zero circumstances in which I'm punting.
What if you just go 3 and out? It's just like, oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not going out there with my punt unit and wasting my first possession.
Here's my thought about this, too. Now, obviously, they're playing an FCS school in Robert Morris. Is this not the biggest FU ever to them? Oh, we're going to get some random person to call the plays against this team. If I'm on Robert Morris, I don't even know what I want to do.
Yeah, you don't need any more fuel.
Yeah, this is just adding insane motivation to the game. Obviously, they're in FCS schools, so like they're probably not going to win, but still, like,
imagine they do.
Pick six for like, what if you throw a pick six or fumble on the? Well, I mean, you're not doing it, but I don't know, just terrible stuff. We did get a Jahmyr Gibbs update here, Ben, about 20 minutes ago from a few different Lions reporters. Dave Burkett, first off, saying Jahmyr Gibbs did not stop and talk to reporters after practice today. Asked him as he walked into the practice facility if a deal was close. He gave us a thumbs up without turning around. And Jeremy Reisman quoted and said, the biggest media scrum I've seen in a while, yet Gibbs slipped around them like an unblocked defender.
That's good stuff.
So good stuff from Jahmyr Gibbs.
I don't expect Gibbs to commentate on it. I think he's handling it really well. Just, hey, thumbs up.
Gave the thumbs up,
We're close.
All right, let's do a rapid fire of other stuff going on across the NFL, and then we're going to talk about this dude on the Mets that does the splits. Stephon Diggs signs with the Commanders. What do we think? Pretty good signing?
I think that is a pretty good signing. The Commanders they're staying with their old man trend, which I don't think is great, but they were in need of another pass catcher. I don't even know who their number one. I mean, it was Terry McLaurin, but like.
Still is Terry McLaurin.
Terry came off a pretty bad season, so it's nice that they're going to get him some more help, and it's an old wide receiver room now at the end of the day, but it's another guy who can totally help out. This guy who was a wide receiver one on a Super Bowl team last year. So I do like it for the Commanders, who are in desperate need to bounce back.
Texans wide receiver Tank Dell returns to practice after missing all of last season. Obviously, Dell had one of the scarier injuries we've seen in some while back in 2024, but Tank Dell returning to practice, which is pretty good stuff. We also found out yesterday that apparently Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs were like communicating throughout this whole process of the hold-in before Bijan got paid, just like talking to each other about the contract and telling each other to hang in there and stuff like that. Just find that kind of interesting.
They're boys.
They are boys. Finally, Garrett Crochet of the Boston Red Sox, he says he is open to a late season reliever role if the Red Sox need it. The star left-hander has been out for the Red Sox since like the beginning of the season. I think April is when he got injured and has been injured this entire time. It seems like he might be able to come back for the playoffs. And he's telling the Red Sox, hey, look, I know you're hot right now. I don't want to mess anything up. If you want me to make me a reliever, do it. And I wish our star left-handed pitcher was so willing to cooperate.
That's what I was just about to say. What a team player he is.
Oh, and this was the last thing I actually wanted to do before the Mets thing. Aaron Donald was in pads at the Rams training camp, like just practicing the other day.
The hell is the point of not having him signed or not announcing?
He's not on the team.
He's coming back.
He was practicing, right? I don't get why they wouldn't just announce it right now. All right, let's talk about this dude. Jeffrey Yan made his debut for the Mets last night. If you haven't seen this guy, search him up on Twitter. I got the screenshot of him right now. Every strikeout he gets, he leaps 12 feet into the air and does like a anime like splits celebration as he lands on the mound. It's an unbelievable celebration. He got 2 Ks yesterday in his debut, so he did it twice. That's sweet. What do you think about it, Ben? I knew you would have some sort of take on this.
I have no problem with showing a little bit of like celebration. Like if hitters are allowed to do it on the bases, you know what? Pitchers should be allowed to do a little celebration too. I think that's good stuff. The Mets are 49-66.
Saw this coming.
They have the 3rd worst record in the National League. I think it's a little much, and I liked that Jose Ramirez was kind of making fun at him a little bit. I think this is a good personality and ultimately good for the sport, but I was like, I saw it happen. I was like, wait, what's the Mets record? This is like one of the worst teams in the league? Yeah, okay.
I like it, though. That he's done this all the way up. He did it in spring training. He was a part of the Rockies in spring training. Did it with them.
What my only concern about it is what happens if a guy like tries to steal second and he leaps up in the air and just gets like domed in the face?
He gets drilled by the 3. He might jump over it, dude. I mean, that's how high up this guy jumps. Like, the screenshot of him in the air at his peak is crazy.
Yeah, it's like he could stop a basketball on the rim with his elbow.
Yeah.
I am concerned because like his second strikeout or one of them, he like had to kind of rush the plate because he was worried about someone coming in or something. Yeah, I would just caution him to know when and when not to use that. I wouldn't be using it for every single strikeout. I would just say that, especially if there's a guy on first who's just trying to steal.
Yeah, it's probably a situation. I didn't watch the whole thing. I would assume that it's a situation when there's like nobody on. If there's like bases.
Oh, no, he did it with a guy on third. He had to like kind of ran.
And he still did.
He did it, and then he like kind of ran to home to make sure like nothing happened.
I think he should extend it. I think he should do it after every strike thrown.
What's this guy's name?
Jeffrey Yan.
Yeah,
the
for
DR.
sure someone to track the
Jeffrey
rest
Yan,
of the year.
But yeah, pretty good stuff. I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he does pretty good. Also, you see that Shohei Ohtani and PCA now co-favorites to win the MVP after PCA went deep twice yesterday. It's interesting stuff.
Exciting stuff. Hey, you don't have to be a pro to get pro-level care, whether you're hitting the gym or the field or just staying active. Covenant Healthcare Sports Medicine helps you prevent injuries, recover quicker, and keep doing what you love. That is Covenant Healthcare.
The Ben Bosscher Show, built by Bresky Siding and Building Repair on 100.9 The Mid. on 100.9 The Mid.
All right, we have 3 traditions to close out each and every show. The first tradition we have is our lock of the day.
Lock of the day.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Okay, for our lock of the day, I'm going with, you know what, a bet we haven't made in a long time? I'm not sure we've done this like at all this season. I'm just going with the Tigers money line, man. They have to win today. We got Framber Valdez in the mound. He's 8-4 against Seattle in his career. I think the Tigers understand what, is kind of at stake for the rest of the season, all of these series being so important. And I just have like a weird belief in this team right now that I can't quite explain. But I do think that there is something to moving off of Tarek Skubal and the Tigers being like, you know what? We don't need Tarek Skubal. Like, thanks for all that you did. You were a good teammate, but we're the Detroit Tigers and we're still a good baseball team without you, dude. And I think that being finally gone and a weight lifted off of all of their shoulders and like this looming what's going to happen being done. Like, I have a really strong belief in this team right now. So I'm just going to go with the Tigers money line and hopefully they can close out this series tonight against Seattle. Thoughts?
It's tough with Framber Valdez on the mound.
For sure.
Especially when the lock of the day should be Cal Raleigh, Josh Naylor hit by pitch.
Yep.
That feels likely with Framber on the mound. Going up against Bryce Miller today, which if you remember, they faced Bryce Miller in the game back in Detroit in the ALDS last year, and they beat him. He only gave up 2 earned runs, but that's all they needed because the Tigers won big in that game because they scored a bunch late. So they were victorious against Bryce Miller in a big-time spot last year. This feels as big-time spot as the regular season can get really right now for the Tigers. Winning this series is crucially important, and they can keep their road series on the line here, or road series winning streak on the line here.
Yeah, I saw this.
They have a chance to win 7 straight road series, I think is what it is, which is kind of crazy for how bad they were on the road for most of this season. They've turned that around. I'll tail this today. Why not? I'm rooting for the Tigers to win, so of me fading it would feel kind of wrong.
There you go.
So yeah.
Tigers money line, that is what's the odds on that?
Plus 114.
That is our lock of the day.
Lock of the day.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
The next tradition we have is our game of the day.
Game of the day.
I think I have to go with the Indiana Fever tonight going up against the Aces. The Aces are, I think, the top team in the league at 21-9. And the Fever just come with all this controversy. You got Asia Wilson, multiple-time MVP. You got Caitlin Clark. You got Sophie Cunningham, who's getting booed every time she touches the ball. I'm intrigued to see what happens tonight on Amazon Prime at 7 o'clock. So I'm going to go with that one. Unless there's like a crazy baseball game, I guess let's make sure that there's not like an ace versus ace matchup.
Not really. Christopher Sanchez pitching for the Phillies, but it's against the selling Nationals. If the Dodgers had a chance to snap their terrible losing streak, maybe you would pick that.
PCA has just kind of become must-see TV. You know?
Yeah, potentially there. It's a good point. Yeah, I feel like that's probably the right pick.
Yeah, I'll go with the Fever versus the Aces as our game of the day.
Game of the day.
I got 2 words for you. Steve Nash and Chris Paul. Must-see TV.
All right, the last thing we have is predicting what Colin Cowherd is going to open up his show with. Nobody got a point yesterday? I got a point yesterday?
You got a point yesterday, yeah.
Which Skubal?
Messed up from you, man. We had the 67 versus 67.
I took the lead.
You just had to get involved with that, huh?
You're kind of cold right now, dude.
Well, I told you I was going to stay at 67. And I turned it down.
I turned it down.
Well, maybe we can have some more fun scores shortly.
Yeah. Okay, I think it is my turn to go first today. Yes, it is. Could go back to the Dodgers. I mean, they lost again. And it's like a way for him to talk about Pete Crow Armstrong. I think he went to the Cubs-Dodgers game the other night, too.
Really?
So he went to the Skubal start, so maybe he went to it again today. Probably not, though. You got Jonathan Taylor getting paid. Dylan Brooks getting paid. There's some weird stuff going on in UEFA. I just feel
In
like
what?
he would probably go with football. Soccer is what I was talking about. I feel like he would probably still just go something NFL related, though. I'm going to go with just... I don't like... I maybe like running back contracts talk. Like Taylor got paid, Bajan got paid. Oh, now he's going to talk about Gibbs getting paid. Well, look at Seattle. They didn't pay their running back. They won the Super Bowl. Look at the Chiefs. They don't pay their running back. They win Super Bowls. I'll do that. I don't really like it, but I don't know what else to pick.
I'm going to go with the Rams. The fact that Aaron Donald's there practicing feels like this is maybe wrapped up, that he's going to come back. It definitely is wrapped up that he's coming back.
Yeah, I like that more.
Aaron Donald, Myles Garrett on the same defensive line, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua in the same offense. Favorites for a reason. Need somebody to go topple down there. All right. That's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you tuning in today. Subscribe on YouTube if you have not already. Love seeing that number continue to rise. Follow us on Facebook to stay up to date on all the latest stats, stories, graphics, posts, like just news in general. You'll stay there. And then TikTok and Instagram for exclusive video content. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock. Should be a fun show, so subscribe, hit the notification button so you don't forget it if you're watching live on the YouTube. If you're on our airwaves here in the Great Lakes Bay region, we appreciate you as well. We'll talk to you then.
The Ben Bosscher